Hello, chaps. Hey, Mitch. Hi, Diego. Bert. Hello. Yes. Where is GR? Where is the war room? When is the war room on next? These are big, big questions. Can probably only be answered by Green Room. But there are great expectations. And so far, people have been let down because there has been no war room to keep people up to date. So somebody has to try and keep the lights turned on in this place. At least I need to open the windows and brush it out every so often. Forbin Colossus. Hey man, hey Dodge, just watching your previous show. Yeah. 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 Sorry about the last show. Probably one of the best ones. Look, I got no content. Dodger can't do content. He's six-rate YouTube. He needs help. He's only here for the chatter. But we keep the place open, because people want a chitty chatty. We need to. I'm not saying we could have to do 24/7, but people need a place where it can just let it all out before the big boys come, before the talent. Fully understand as soon as the talent's on, Dodger is gone. Yep, that's when the talent is on, Dodger is gone. Deploy the Poseidon torpedo! Oh my god, yeah. I mean, yeah, that was nice of them not to say, oh, well, you can launch one of these Poseidon things and it'll like destroy Britain. But I forgot, like, Ireland is pretty damn peaceful. Wipe them out too. I mean, shit, talk about collateral. Oh, we'll wipe out Great Britain, but yeah, collateral damage is going to be a whole of bloody Ireland, Republic of Ireland. Jeez. I mean, they've had a hard enough bloody time through history, let alone have bloody Poseidons coming after them with their bloody whatever it is, they try all bloody things that they're called, or whatever it is. Terrible, man. Not very good. Poor shout, really. It's a bit worrying, really, when you hear that the Russian news is all about it's a done thing that we're going to be like nuking each other. Jesus, they all seem quite happy about it. Happy to talk about it. I don't even think about it. I don't want to think about it. Well, Dodger lives is hardly a target, probably furthest away from any of the primary targets and things, but even so, it's well, exactly, Diego. You got no chance. These submarine jobbies. I mean, let it go. You don't know what it is till it hits you, mate. If it's a preemptive strike, yeah. Well, doom and gloom, doom and gloom. I feel a bit bad for you youngsters having to deal with this. I mean, Dodger's been lucky, 60 years, and there hasn't been. Of course, there've been some very, very terrible wars and things, but it's probably the closest I've seen us coming to the real World War III. Even a bit more worried about this is than the old Cold War days. Hey, Lux, got your email address today. I'm going to keep in touch, man. Keep in touch. Got the email address of Jamie today, so we can keep chatting. Miss you, man. Miss you, man. There was chat in my previous show. I think somebody was asking about straps for a particular watch, and I said, "Oh, I'll get in touch with Lux." I don't know if they will, because somebody said it was only a $500 watch, so I don't think quite spending that much money on a customer strap is the right thing to do with a $500 watch. But they could be kidding about it being $500. Or is it 5,000? Oh, I wouldn't know. I've got a shite memory now, I tell you. The thing with these impromptu shows, I mean, I probably won't get anybody really hop on the panel for quite a while. Unannounced, unplanned, as per usual. One day I might do something that's planned. But I've created some content. I've got a whole trip around our city. So city? No, local town. That's it. Well, I went down to the agricultural farm place where I buy all the seeds and the tractors and the seeds. Our farmers go down and buy the tractors and the seeds. I was looking for some more of this Roundup, do a bit of weed killing. It's the same old song. I want 5 litres of Roundup. Roundup, I call it Roundup. Roundup is Roundup in Poland. Yeah, but have you got qualifications? Are you a farmer? Yes, I got qualifications. I'm a farmer. No. And then the guy spends the rest of the next half hour looking around the warehouse trying to find a pallet of Roundup. But I got it in the end. The weeds. I got weed problems. I got an infestation. There's an infestation in Badger's Den. What are we going to do? Call the Roundup. Spray it about. Look, yeah, mate, don't interrupt people's sleep. I have enough trouble sleeping myself. Yes, I've been lazing around the house with a spray, spraying this glycol phosphate, wherever that's supposed to send you mad. Hey, that might be it. That's maybe why I'm going a bit silly in my old age. Too much glycophosphate. Too much glycophosphate in my life. Guys, hello, guys. Hey, man. Did do looks. Used to plant lots of things. The first couple of years we were here, we'd have great intentions of the, having a sort of self-sustainable life and all these little silly dreams that you might have. They realised exactly how much bloody work that involves. It's hard work. I mean, it's back-breaking hard work. Okay, you can get a local farmer down there to plough it all up for you and sort of rake it over and prepare that. But then you've got the planting. That's not so much of a problem. But it's the bloody weeding. You've got to keep the weeds down. You've got to weed around your lettuces, your cabbages, and your potatoes. It's just a constant battle. And it's bloody hard work. And then, when you do finally dig them out of the ground, you find that everybody else has dug what you dug out of the ground at the same time. So nobody bloody wants what you got because the whole village is full of it, And of course, them's a lot have done the whole job a lot cheaper than Dodger's done the job. So cost-wise, but from an interest point of view and actually having a go and realising you can just throw potatoes on the ground and they grow more potatoes, it's quite exciting. Quite exciting and interesting, but after a couple of years, you get a bit bored with this type of thing. Same with the bloody chickens. They're really great when you first get them and you get out there and you get those fresh eggs. And as time goes by, they lay fewer and fewer. And then they go walking around the house, shitting everywhere on the footpath, so everywhere you tread is bloody chicken shit. Nah, the reality is a lot different to the dream. The reality. It's a lot different to the dream. But anybody wants to come here, I've got a little shed out there. You can move into the shed and give it a go. Come and do what you want. If you want to try and live a self-sustained life, I can give you a little place. I'll even give you a little stove to keep you going. Got a little bit of forest, a bit of ground there. You can get your spade out and dig it up, plant your taters, your cabbages, and your whatever. You can grow some tomatoes. You can grow grapes here. So, you could even have some. We can even make your own wine. There's an apple orchard, so you can do cider or try your best to sell the damn apples. Perfect, lovely apples. Nobody wants them because everybody's got them around about that time of year. Could you do something much smaller now, considering rising prices, etc., to keep yourself? Yeah, look, it is. Yeah, it's actually. If kind of what they're saying, and I don't like to hear what they're saying because what they're saying is not very good, right, when it comes to food. Because literally, Ukraine was quite a big. Sorry, I'm going out for cigarettes. I've lost them at the time. So Ukraine was quite a big contributor in terms of wheat production and farming. That's going to be lost, and things are going to get either scarce. I mean, what was it? One of them was cooking oil. sunflower oil, etc., comes from the Ukraine, so shortage of cooking oil. The main thing is shortage of wheat in the Ukraine, which will mean wheat prices rise. And the problem there is it's going to affect that rise in prices is going to affect poor. Pardon me, just eating my lunch, dinner, whatever, no tea, whatever. That's going to affect the poorest people the most. So that's a worry. So yeah, I mean, it might come to it, you know, if I fire these nukes, I'm gonna have to chop my forest down from my own wood and yeah, plant stuff to live. We all be radioactive, but at 60, as long as I don't get a fatal dose within the first few weeks, you know, ground radiation. Cancer's coming about 5, 10, 15, 20 years, Dodger's 60. So it's the young guns I worry about. It's your young guns I worry about. Did anybody happen to watch the Lex report today? Out of interest. Probably the first time ever it was half interesting. It got spicy. Looks a cart, mate. Think about it. My dad died, 10 years? Well, they got 10 years to the date my dad died. So, I mean, I might try and imagine it in 10 years. I don't think I'm going to make the 20, mate. It was a hoot, wasn't it, Flood? It was a hoot. According to the man who got a plutonia, I'm rich. I ain't got no plutonia. Yeah, Lexter was a hoot. It was yeah, so that's for sure. Chili Badger, Chili Man. Ooh, never looked up the Lex report. We'll take a butchers. Hey, don't leave my show because I mean I've lost all the leads, and I'm not closing. I'm up in front of the brief at the end of the month for non-performance. There's 2 months on the trot. I've lost all my leads. The closer's always talking about closing. I'm not closing at the moment. Tried to sell some wrenches earlier, but nobody wants to buy a wrench. But guys, if anybody really wants to buy a wrench, you know, so they're all tooled up, looking good in the war room, so you can turn up with your wrench, your blue wrench, in the war room. Dodger's selling them on the sly here. It's a bit black markets. I normally go for quite a bit of money, the low serial numbers anyway. But look, nobody's looking. I can flog a few. I'm not supposed to do it, but I'm desperate. I'm desperate for the leads. I'm desperate to bring in the cord. Super chat. That's so funny. You're gonna have to. We see where I'm coming from. You're gonna have to watch the Lex report. I don't like plug. I shouldn't plug other channels, but I kind of see Lex as being a bit of an affiliate to the Archieverse. Like it or not, he is. The Badger report, yeah, Badger report. Yes, that was quite an interesting show. You had JQH on, you had Marcelo on, you had Lex on. I think this is probably going to be his best rating show ever. But yeah, defo, wherever he says Lex is a big fan. He's a big fan. He can't keep away. Well, probably like many of us others can't keep away. And it's all about the entertainment, eh, guys? It's all about entertainment. Yeah, thanks, Chili. Thanks for not deserting me. But I thought I'd open the pre-show, because There's only pre-shows now. You don't know who you're rebel streaming, who you're not rebel streaming, and what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. But I'm chasing the leads. I'm chasing the leads. But the leads ran away. I chased them and they ran away. Dodger was never a salesman. It's hard. It must be hard, and sometimes it must be so. Because I can't take no. I can't. I couldn't handle somebody slamming the door in my face constantly. It's a hard job, sales. I'm seeing what the guys go through. It's one of the hardest jobs out there. It can be very demoralising. 99 out of 100 doors get shut in your face. It's that one door that opens that pays the bills. It's hard being in sales. It's hard. We just want to talk about watches. Well, we can if you want. What we all wearing? I'm still wearing my 41mm two-tone subby. Mainly because I'm too lazy to go upstairs and change it. I really ought to change it. Probably wearing it too much. It's scratched to hell now. It's got scratches all over the place. 83 is a day job for legs. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. He does seem to spend a lot of time between that and the golf course. I don't know if he plays golf, living on a golf course. No, but looks, we can talk about watches. We can talk about things with ticky things in them, and 7150s, and all those other things that we love. But I say, well, many people that do that far better than Dodger. Dodger's just got L plates, front and back. When it comes to the watches, Dodger just buys the watches because he looks at them and thinks that's shiny. I like that. That's nice and shiny. I love that. I've done quite well so far. I've done well talking for 22 minutes, just talking crap. Right, I shall drop the link just in case. Because somebody either hop on or hop off because I hate the number 13 and every time Dodger's on. This is why I'm having a bad streak, guys. I'm having a bad streak with a lead. And every time the show's on, it's either between 12 people on, 13 people on, and 14 people on. Most bizarre. Most bizarre. Did Papa? Oh no, he had a hard life. He came out of Russian gulag, joined the British Army, 7 years, Monte Cassino, Italy campaign, everything else. Worked in a factory, a lot of times double shifts, spraying things, welding things. No, I'm afraid Papa Dodger did not have a Rolex. I just wish he had the chance to live life the way I've had my chance that he gave me. Never ever got to see Poland again. He was well gone and dead before Dodger returned. It's a shame. He'd have really loved it here. Well, there you go. I've got no hard feelings. I'm just a bit sad that, even after I reached out to him, or even reached out today just to say, no hard feelings. He never said a word back, really. Kind of thought there might have been a little bit of a friendship there, but that's not the first time it's happened to me in my life, to be honest. Right, gonna go and blow my nose because I'm still not past this post-COVID stuff. It's just a nightmare. Excusez-moi, mon petit pois. Chat amongst yourselves. I had to go to doing a show a bit earlier, but then I think Lex came along and well, trumped my star. Really, I'm not surprised. He had the leads. He had leads. So, but it's very kind of Bill. Bill hopped on for a while, and I didn't realise he was actually suffering quite badly still from this COVID. So, Bill, if you're out there, mate, stay safe, keep warm, uh, try and keep healthy, man. I wish you a swift recovery, really, because this thing could be a bit of a long haul the way it screws you around. Oh, look, you don't have to send me a gift, but if if it, if it happens to be a Pepsi, they look. I'm only kidding. Only joking. Yeah, I was looking out for Nico, but I don't think he's doing his odd one-shot things. Didn't he used to do a sort of a chat show and people would go in and super chat and the chats used to like fly up the screen. You couldn't. I mean, that's the thing with some of these shows. You can't interact because the chat just flies at the screen. You got no chance of catching any of it. I mean, man, he's got some subscribers. I tell you, this is kind of why I like the pace of this show in a way. It's pretty relaxed. We can actually make a comment and it doesn't disappear within a second, so somebody can read it and maybe respond to it. But some of these big hitters on YouTube, my God, it flies. I prefer a bit more slower pace. Badger style, just relaxed. You can just knit and natter, chatter. To be honest. Hey, hello, sir. Good to see you again.
Mr. Dodger, Mr. Badger, how are you?
Badger, I'm all right, man. Yeah, it's been a while. Great show you sort of did. Then Cutty came on, did a bit in the dungeon, and yeah, everybody's welcome here, man. More the merrier.
Right, yeah. I just, I just stepped out to grab a sandwich for lunch and was checking in to see if you good folks were on, and I see you here and looked like you just started, so I figured I'll just hop in for while I nibble on this roast beef sandwich.
Well, I think that's what it's all about. It's just guys maybe having a lunch hour or something. They're just having a break and they just want to see what's happening, catch up with things. And yeah, it's the idea of having this place open.
Yeah,
Not so much that it's got a structure, but it's structured enough maybe for people to come in and interact with each other, and just in the way you're doing it, which is just perfect. There's no pressure to come on the panel. There's no pressure to do anything really, apart from you see a comment or something you want to join into, and that's all we're doing, I think.
exactly, exactly. So where in now you're in Poland, right?
Yeah, southwestern Poland.
Wow. I used to go to college decades ago up in Midwest, a suburban of Chicago, and there used to be a large Polish populations. Um,
I think, to be honest, Chicago's got one of the largest ones in the US.
yeah, there used to be a lot of Irish and Polish.
Mm.
Yeah, um, and then there were a lot of Irish in the suburban Chicago, south side Chicago, a lot of Irish, and then there were Polish within the city perimeter, um, and then there were Italians as well,
Wow.
and then the college I went to had a lot of first generation Polish immigrant children.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, yeah, and in fact, one of the companies founders I worked for in the Silicon Valley. Now the company, I think the founder is probably worth over $1 billion on paper and in valuation. And he started the company when he was 10 years old. You
Wow.
know, yeah. So a lot of interesting and story, and I always found Polish people not so much as how should I say politely, um, opinionated as much as Irish about every topic. They're slightly kind of aloof a little bit, or not so forthcoming in their opinion. Italians always had opinion about everything, and
No,
then
yeah, absolutely. Well, you expected it. Yeah, come on.
yeah, yeah,
But that's the allure of the Italians. That's part of what I love
yeah,
about
and
Italy and Italians.
right, it must be the Mediterranean hot, warm climate. It just seems that way. If you're
Yeah,
from a
yeah,
warmer climate, you seem to kind of be jumpy a little bit, and they were Irish with right behind the Italians. It could be because of the Catholicism and a commonality there.
yeah. There is a huge tie. I mean, growing up as
Yeah.
part of an immigrant family in the UK, it was we connected with the Italians and the Irish because of the Catholicism. Well, yeah, truly, yeah. If you if the Irish church was out of order, and then they'll all turn up at the Polish church, or it's fully booked the weddings. They come and get the weddings at the Polish church, and so there's a lot of interaction in the UK between the Irish, Italian, and Polish communication.
Interesting.
Communication, community, sorry,
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, I always found that dynamics interesting. Especially with the immigrant children. As they sort of find their own roots amongst their parents and this new American dream, and how different nationalities had not so much of generalizing everybody and stereotyping, but a lot of commonality, and that was very interesting to me, and a lot of good friends. I always had to kind of coax the Polish friends to speak up, and you couldn't get the other side to sort of be quiet and see if they would hear other people's opinions, and that seems to be when I moved to New York, and then it's a totally different ball game because it's a melting pot of over 200 nations, right? So,
Yeah.
but Dodger, did you get a chance? I wanted to provide a little bit of content on this channel, and Plastic facilitated that. I don't know if you had a chance to see the Seiko and some of the mid tier brands. There were a couple of I think there are half of them, at least 30% Archie would approve, but the rest were just sort of here and there. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that video.
Yeah, I've been struggling a bit, but yeah, I have caught a bit of it. I mean, that's where I like this place that we can cover all the things that people don't normally cover. I think that's great that you can sort of just jump on and just show what you have a passion for, show the watches you have, no matter what they don't have to be Rolex today. We're in a dungeon. We can have what somebody else might call shitters, because some people have got some fantastic collections of Casios, and let's face it, Dodger's got his Casios. He's got his Casios and his Seiko. I've got a Casio here and a Seiko somewhere else. We've all, they were bread and butter, and certainly in the 80s, in the quartz crisis in the 70s, 80s, late 70s, 80s. Quartz was king. And they can still have a lot about it. If people like Cartier still, make movements, ladies' watches, quartz, and Seiko can take quartz to the next level, or in a very interesting sort of way with spring drive. I mean, there's a lot to discuss and talk about. Is the movement that, let's say, let's talk about it. I mean, let's talk about a movement that you cannot see, but it's in there, like in a Rolex, because Rolex don't do display backs. And to be honest, if you look at the back of inside the Rolex, it's not that very exciting. There's an argument to say it's more about the aesthetics of the watch, the weight of the watch, the strap, the quality of the finish. I mean, look at just something, I don't know, the spring drive, Grand Seiko, all the rest of it. I mean, some beautifully finished watches.
Are you
working a different way? Got a spring drive. Okay, it's different.
yeah, have you had Grand Seiko before, or have you?
No. I've looked at, I've been looking at a lot of people done a lot of content, on
Yep.
is it the snow? Is it the snowflake and the beauty of that dial and how it's all to do with the flowers that grow in the spring in Japan
Yeah.
and the special polishing systems that they have, brings a very sort of high level of polish and finish to the watch.
Yeah.
I've learnt all these things by being part of, this little universe of YouTube channels. So I'm still very much on a progressive sort of learning curve. Yes, I've had watches, but I've bought them
Sure.
because that looks nice.
Yeah.
But now I am actually starting to learn about watches. I'd certainly say the Seiko Alpinist is with a green dial is on my list. So we'll
Uh-huh.
talk about Seiko. That is one. But I'm very
The original with the two double crowns.
I've been told, yeah, possibly to go for the original rather than the
Yeah.
new. I mean, I don't know how is that right, wrong in your opinion? Should I be looking at new? Should I be looking at
No,
old?
they all. I mean, who knows what's wrong, what's right? But if you look at um, the majority of the opinions out there, and it seems to be that they recommend go always when in doubt, always go with the original, right?
Right.
Mm, So that advice seems to work here as well, and that's I don't have that timepiece actually. I have the Alpinist on the black dial, which is kind of like a shark teeth,
Mm.
but the green one with the golden highlights, and
Yeah, yeah. It's a
very
sunburst.
beautiful.
I
It's
think it's
very
got one of
beautiful.
the nicest sunburst styles out there. The green
Yeah,
sunburst.
and and that seems to be the most desired Alpinist as well. The original, the most desirable. So if you ever get bored of it, and if you wanted to kind of flick it, you wouldn't have a problem finding
No,
it.
no, I agree. I mean, I've been looking at these things for the last 5 years. Not pull the trigger.
Yeah,
Uh,
part of my challenge with this watch journey since 1998, actually, so that's about 24 years, has been not doing the research.
it's a bit
And
longer
back
than
in
that,
those
isn't
days,
it?
yeah, back
Yeah.
in those days, articles and the reviews and the YouTube, this was not so much pervasive as it is now. But you like the watches and you kind of pick up things if it emotionally talks to you or somebody recommends, and you never know what the value of these things are, and if you wanted to get rid of it, whether you could get any money or not. um, and at least I'll speak for myself. I found myself collecting hordes of these things, a lot of these things, and 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 I find out that literally 99% of these you can't you have to give it away. You can't sell them, or if you sell them, it'll be like 2 cents on a dollar or 10 cents on a dollar, right? So and that's how my collection grew. But the good news is I got exposed to literally, I want to say, 25 plus different brands, all mechanical. But the challenging part is that now I'm stuck with it. What do I do, right? And then literally, I think, I don't know, 3 4 years ago, I discovered this crazy guy out of Brisbane, and he seems to, he kind of helps you with your choices, whether
Yeah.
you agree or disagree, right? But at least from value perspective, he seems to have kind of found his niche in terms of making sure that, look, you can buy nice watches, you can buy the classic watches, you can buy iconic watches, um, and you will like them, you will love them, and you will not lose your shirt on it because, let's face it, with any watches except for one or two or maybe half a dozen.
Mhm.
So a lot of these things you kind of get bored, after some time, unless they're very, very iconic, right? Even the iconic one, for a lot of people, I mean, for example, Tag Heuer Monaco. It's very hard for many people to like it. That's that's the reason why it's, even though it's iconic, it's still, it's still tough to get rid of it in the secondary market, right?
Right.
So that's kind of been my journey. I like it. Kind of keeps me busy. It's either I I tell my friends, oh, they tell me you're crazy. You got this many watches. I go, yeah, it's cheaper. I could be buying this many cars, or,
But does it cause you? Oh, one
or
question
my
I'd like.
wife could be buying this many jewelry that would have no value, right? So I'm sorry. Go
One
ahead.
question. Question I'd like to ask you. I mean, before you kind of, because I mean, this was X years ago. The Archie versus the world of Archie and his knowledge of watches was new to me, and learning about where the value is. Does it, when you found out, okay, that you can't get rid of these, has it caused you a problem, the fact that you can't easily get rid of half of your collection? Does it matter to you? Does that change the journey that took you through buying these watches? Does it change the way you look at these watches that you've bought now that you're thinking more in a financial way? Or are you still, do you still appreciate and recognize the fact that you bought these watches because you saw them, you loved them, you liked them, you wanted to add them to your collection, you wanted to learn about them? So has it changed things? Does that
Sure.
monetary thing, does that
You
change
know,
your?
that's a great question, and there's no easy answer to that because we get influenced. We're human beings. We get easily influenced, and the more you stay, the more you follow the articles, the more you follow the so-called experts, the more you read about it, your thought and your taste, they change. It's no different than one time for a number of years I used to like Ford Explorer. I bought two of them in my span of 40 years of car buying, and now I can't look at them. Now I like because your perception, your taste, everything changes. So, but to answer your question very precisely, I do not look at them differently, but you get to a point where, wow, I didn't realize all of a sudden I got, I don't know, 100, I think at one point in time I had 192 watches, including,
Oh, wow.
including the Japanese made in Japan Seikos. Granted, 70 of them were Seikos and about 120 of them were Swiss brands. But a lot of it were, like I said before, you couldn't get rid of it, and then you can't manage them. And as you kind of age, there's these big watches. You don't feel comfortable on them. I used to have one. I even forget the brand. It's a huge pilot watch with a huge knob. Now I don't even enjoy wearing it, but at one point in time, it gave me a lot of joy, and
Yeah.
I can remember why I bought it. I remember distinctly how I walked in. So each watch does have a journey, does have a story, but the interest sort of kind of fades away. And now I'm trying to figure out, what do I do with it, right? Do I just keep it?
Yeah,
My
I
kids,
was,
when I won't like it, Now the children nowadays is very different. They don't want anything that you have. They want your money, but
yeah, we want your money.
yeah, kids want the money, but they don't want your Royal Dalton China set. They don't want your Tiffany earrings. Even my daughter, she doesn't think her mom's jewelry is anything special. So anyway, so that's what happens with with everything. And but I do love them. I do love them. I like them, play with them, but eventually I'll have to figure out how to get rid of it, and because my kids won't wear it. So I think I think Archie has a point when he says, "Look, you don't need 200 watches. You don't need even 50 watches. You don't even need 20 watches. Take a look at the iconic pieces. It's probably around no more than 50 iconic, desirable, aftermarket value for watches out there. Within that, it's very hard not to like any of them." Just hold on, I've got a FedEx guy
Yeah,
ringing my bell.
yeah, you do your FedEx. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go dig out a bottle of wine, so we'll be back. We'll be back. I just want to say hi to everybody who's joining the panel, the chat, the chitty chat. Night Diver, Commander Crowley, Chili Badger, Ben, I think has just disappeared up the screen. So hi, Ben. ABC. Welcome, guys. I'm actually talking to a man who's got a watch collection of up to 200 pieces. I've got to ask him when he gets back. Has he got? I'd love to see a picture of his 200 watch collection. But yeah, more important things call, like opening another bottle of wine. So bear with me, bear with the dodge. Oh, just picked me out another nice bottle of Merlot. The badge. Oh, this is actually the second box. I had some left in the old Merlot bottle. That was Barefoot Merlot. Where's that made? Oh, Barefoot Merlot. California IA. And this Merlot that I'm on next, soft and fruity. Chilean. There you go. What if Chile makes any watches? What if any watchmakers in Chile? Hey, Peruka. I normally go by the alcohol level, so that's how I choose one. That's 12.5%, and I was just drinking the 13.5. Yeah, so that's the connoisseur's choices. Go for the bottle of wine with the most alcohol in it. Don't worry about this sniffing it. Anything else rotations. You can't go wrong. The more alcohol in it, the longer it lasts. I know, Peruka, I know, but that catch me to Milan. I spent too many years in France and too much of my life with too much of my life with wine snobs to start calling these things by their proper name. But Peruka, I hear you're a cheese connoisseur, I need a cheesy program, mate. Yeah, I love my cheese too. But yeah, Swiss, you're supposed to be famous for cheese. Right, I do love my bit of cheddar. I don't think you can beat a nice piece of cheddar cheese. Yep, cheese slice. Absolutely. Arthritis, yeah. I'm not sure if it brings it on. What is it when you get acid builds up crystals in your joints? It's called. It used to be a rich man's disease. Hang on, it'll come to me. One of you guys will know it. Gout, yes, gout. Yeah, where basically the alcohol and stuff crystallizes out in your joints, and then your kneecap or whatever swells up. Sad Sahib. Assalamu alaikum, Sad. No news, Sad, but I'm sure, if you hop onto the main show tonight, you can ask him the question. In fact, it's been a long time since we've seen Mikey here. I think since Mikey got his keys to the door and the wrenches, I think the old Dodgers den. Well, I don't blame him. Actually, he's moved up to top tier. You know, he's had a promotion. So Corporal Dodger is probably never get up to those heady heights. Oh, you don't know much about cheese? Okay. I'm sure we can talk about the cheese.
Sorry about that, Dodger. I'm back.
That's okay. We're just talking about cheese. I mean, at least we didn't drop down to the level. We're really struggling when we get down to talking about almond milk and how there's absolutely nothing in almond milk, because if you look at the back of it, it says zero this, zero that, zero this and that, all zero. So almond milk does not exist. Now, how can it be called, like Mrs. Dodger says, how can it be called milk when it got no udders? Because almonds don't have udders, do they? They're not udders. So how can it be a milk? Anyway, I diversify. The main question, second bottle of wine now. Main question I have is, do you have a picture of your whole collection, or almost 200 pieces?
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah. I'm down to looking at the exact number. I think I have been successful a little bit trying to unload some of these stuff. Let me go to Chrono 24.
Have you got them all on Chrono?
Yeah, I have. I have it. See, no, I have.
Is it allowed to go up to almost 200 pieces of your own collection? I'm just wondering. It must have a limit, you know.
Well, you know, it's just it's. I mean, it's over $1 million USD, but it is whatever. It is what it is. I'm looking at it. It's 165.
Did you say over $1 million USD?
Yeah, it's over $1 million USD, 165, and then there is another 25 that's I have packed up, and I have not put it on the Chrono because I just want to unload it, and so it's probably still down to probably 24. So I don't know, probably 185, 86, but 165 on Chrono, which I will probably keep it for a while. I just want to unload the other ones.
I might have missed something. Are you saying that you got over $1 million USD invested in these watches?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's invested or spent, I should say.
Spent, yeah.
It's
okay.
It's a crazy hobby, you know. But you know, again, it's since 1998, right? So that's what, 24 years.
Yeah, like me. But I've got $1 million invested.
Yeah, it's a long time, you know, and that's
a long time.
Yeah,
it's most of my lifetime, I think.
Almost, yeah. I mean,
I'm almost dead now.
Yeah, since I mean, it was slightly before I got married, so yeah, it's almost seems like a lifetime. So you can pick. You can tell me of the 165. I can tell you if I have them in the stock or not. This could be an interesting, fun game for the viewers. If you wanna go ahead, ask me, pick a watch and see if I have them on the list. Pick anything, any brand, or any. You know, you already asked me one, that particular Seiko. I don't have it. I have on the black,
okay,
but not on the green.
Okay, one that I've got that I've lent out to a friend of mine who broke his watch and can't afford one. Casio Illuminator 1990s.
I don't have any digital watches, so no Casio.
Oh, okay.
They're all mechanical.
Oh no, it's quartz, but it's got an analog.
They're
all mechanical. Right.
The Casios, they started with
mechanics.
digital watches, right? Didn't they? No vintage. Also,
there's another guy that's got quite a collection of these watches too. Danny's asking a question: best entry level date buying at retail.
The only date that speaks to me is the yellow gold. No diamonds, fluted bezel, presidential bracelet, 40 mm. And I don't have that, but I do have a request to the AD to call me if they get one.
Up until now, I was looking at something else, but my mind has changed. Just Danny, just look at Christopher Ward. Maybe it's a bit much. Like 900 quid gets you, it gets you a GMT complication. It's mechanical movement, Swiss made, but British design. The best entry level day. I really am struggling there. Sard could probably tell you about the best entry level Rolex day.
Right, I do see him in
probably
the
going to be a 36 mil something or the other. Have you got a Stover Marine chronometer? There you are.
Not that brand, not Stowa.
Not Stover. Danny, in some way you got to connect with the king of day dates, which is Sard Sahib. When Sard's on, he's got probably has got the biggest collection of day dates that anybody here I know of. What, can you hear the birds in the background? I'm out smoking, you see, so.
No, I can hear. Yeah, I can hear it.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I was taking pictures of the cherry flowers in my garden. I just wanted to share with my family, across the U.S. Because in New York we get such a short span, literally 2 weeks before the flowers come up and they drop on the ground. So it's right now. It just stays there. So it's all different color flowers, beautiful. So yes, I was out there today.
So Night Diver's asking, have you got Steinhardts? Do you know them all by heart?
No Steinhardts either.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, damn. So, yeah, everybody's struggling to know what you got.
Just to kind of, I have a lot of mid-tier brands, but most of it are Rolex, Breitling, Omegas, Tudor, Grand Seiko, and JDM Seikos. And then I may have one or two from other brands, and those were just recently acquired, partly because I want to condense all these watches to 30 that I am calling my Super 30, not the Super 30 of the world, but my Super 30, and see if I can just be happy with that. So that's a challenge that I have, put myself against. Yeah.
The one thing I found about Archie, and one of the best things he does when he's at his best, if he looks at somebody's collection, he's very good at saying maybe this piece, just suggesting that maybe this piece doesn't fit. But he's extremely good at finishing off the collection, maybe what you should add. So, I find, he has. It's not been happening recently so much on the shows, but when he was on fire, when he was working through people's collections, he'd tear some people apart on the shows, but he'd give them some damn good advice as well as to how to sort of expand the collection and what direction to take it.
Yeah, very true.
Some very nice pieces to add.
Very true. I mean, that's actually, to tell you honestly, since I stumbled upon his vids, I just all of a sudden I found myself stop buying watches. I'm like, okay, all right, maybe I'm just not doing this right. And the more I kind of tried to understand him, then it became obvious that, look, why, you could enjoy this hobby and not lose money. And like any other hobby, you will get bored of it. It's just part of growing up. And if you get bored of it, and if you need to unload it, there's no reason to lose money on it. Okay.
Yeah, he's the king of he's the king of protecting your investment. And as I say, just in recent last couple of years, he's not been firing, but my God, I mean, his knowledge. You look back at some of his previous older videos, you get to understand the level of his knowledge of watches, serial numbers. He's very good at combining things. He's very good at making combinations.
Right, right. And, people like, I'm sure there's millions of people like me who love watches, if not hundreds of millions, and they all are prime target for gray market dealers. And when you look at the videos, when you look at the reviews, when you look at their website, the average buyer has no chance but to fall in the traps and just start acquiring things just because it seems nice, or this or that, and pretty soon after spending 100,000 you'll realize that, okay, there's this is really mad. I'm just buying what Archie called shiders. And so I wouldn't call Archie high horology, but he has spent his entire lifetime in watches, and he understands the secondary market value. It's all about preserving asset a little
Yeah, he
bit.
does. He does.
And that's what he's talking about, right? So, and I find that very valuable. So since then, 3 years ago, I stopped buying everything, and then I go and chase the ones that are iconic and see if that piece talks to me. Not every iconic piece that Archie talks about speaks to me, right? But if it speaks to me, then that's a good advice. Let me just buy it. I'll enjoy it. And if I get bored after 5 years, maybe I can get something else, and I wouldn't lose. It's no different than just buying a Toyota or a Honda, right? That's the reason why people buy those cars, because you don't lose money. You can trade. There's a good trading value. And then, I can see why purists, people who are really, really into horology, they just think Archie is crazy. He has no.
They do. I mean, Floodland made a really good comment here. He said he can give a soul reading from photos of your collection lot, and he has before now. People have come on the show. A lot of people come on. Normally, people got a reasonably humble, normal watch collection. But then you get the odd character, which you'd probably call a super lead. Somebody he could nurture and say, "Oh, your watch collection is so fantastic." Oh, wow, you got your own family on show.
Sorry about that. That's my lapdog Ryder.
Yeah, but it's great because I've seen some people come on and they've got all the big watches, the big Audemars Piguet, the big Pateks, all the stylists, all the big hitters. They've got the whole collection of all the big hype collection. They come on and Archie rips them a brand new arsehole. He doesn't care, you see.
Well, that's good.
He's like some others say, "Oh, your watch collection's so fantastic. Just super chat me a bit more. Well, send me $100 and I'll give you a private view of your collection." No, he says you're an arsehole. I loved it when he did that a few times.
I mean, there's a little bit of crude language.
Recently now, he's not doing so much of it, but those some of the best shows were when he was ripping people a new asshole because they got loads of money and it's obvious what they're doing. They just buy all the things everybody wants just to show off or something. He sees straight through their soul.
Absolutely.
He sees through their soul.
Well, he's seen it all, right?
He's seen it all.
I mean, before the Instagram crowd, before the Facebook crowd, he's seen the watch scene, and he's spent his lifetime understanding what a flexing is and what kind of people flex, and what does watch say about you, and it's all good. And he's trying to make some humor, around it. The foul language is what probably people feel get insulted. It's hard to ignore, but I try to ignore a little bit of it and see if I can just understand what the man is trying to say, right? And I've the reason I super chat and I PayPal and I think he's very important for watch community is because he will stop you from wasting your money. He'll say, look, there's 50 watches in the world, start from 100 years ago till now. Why don't you like any one of them? Why do you have to go buy, I'm just going to not that I'm against Hubler or anything like that. I'm just going to pick one, right? Why do you have to buy that? You know, so that's what he's talking about, and I think it's a very, you know,
Yeah.
important advice, and you know, especially for one and done people, just buy a Submariner and you're done, right? Don't that's you know, anybody can afford. Now, I shouldn't say anybody globally, but here in the Western world, people put their priorities straight and start saving a little bit, and within a couple of years, you can afford a Submariner, and you know, go put your name with the AD and go visit them once a month and keep telling the story. Look, this is what I want, and by the time you save up in a couple of years, you know, even for a 25-year-old kid, you'll get your watch, right? Eventually, and that's a good advice, I think.
I mean, Archie should, you know, he's sort of like he says, he's just a middle class guy, probably like the rest of us. And you know, for us, like people who are sort of not right up there, you know, with the jets and everything, you know, we have to bloody work hard to buy these pieces. I mean, it's not, it's a huge investment of money, and you know, to be honest, he tries to protect us to invest in the right way, because you know, this could be your pension, it could be your pension fund. This is what you might need in later years. He tries to make sure that, you know, if he's careful with his money. I mean, look at his
Yeah.
headphones and drop it. He didn't rush down the shop to replace the headphones. He's still hanging off, isn't it? I mean, it just
Yeah,
gets,
it's funny.
he hates waste. When we were in London, he gave me a second-hand cigar. You know, so I hated waste. The guy didn't smoke. Decided it was like a really expensive cigar. He said, "Oh, I can't waste that." So there you are, Dodger. Smoke that. So I did.
I mean, what I found so funny was that he has really, you know, you have to see comedy in it, right? And that sometimes
Yeah,
when you're personally attacked, it's hard to see the comedy in that, because you kind of get emotionally jaded a little bit. And I've been on the receiving side as well, believe me, in the past. But it was funny, you know, when one of his donors have really supported him, really likes Archie's stick, and has been on the panel and have had shared unboxing and have donated generously, and all Arch, you know, had to go at him, you know, to have a go at him. So I gave him a very expensive cigar, and we shared a cigar, and he did that to me. That was, you know, that's so funny. You know, I think it's funny. Not funny for the person who's receiving it, but funny for the audience, right? It's kind of like the Gladiator show.
But there's the other scale of things. I mean, you're never really friends with an Aussie until he's called you a cunt.
See, I found, you know, I could see how you could be annoyed, and how you could. I even wrote on the chat, say, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Dodger, please forgive Fonte.
No, I didn't get upset. No, I don't mind being.
You know, I wrote multiple times. I think,
I
look, this guy is a little bit, you know, he's just a little bit loose with his language, but
no, I was only upset because you know, the thought that I might have done something to harm his channel or something.
Yeah, but you're great, you know, for Dungeon. It's awesome. You know, it's just a perfect personality. You know, it's my opinion. The way I see it is, look, you make people feel comfortable. You know, you are comfortable. You know, and it's easy to have a conversation with you. You can have people come in and come go, and that should be what the Dungeon is all about, right? And if you really want high drama, you can just, you know, sometimes there's drama here as well.
Exactly.
But
you know,
for the real show, you can go to the Archie show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all part of the Archieverse. I mean, it's just a bit of a slower thing where, you know, people can come and just talk and chill out for an evening and just talk at a slower pace where, you know, you're not, you know, your chats are missed. You know, it's going at a nice pace. We can read what people are saying. We can answer their questions. It's inclusive. You know, and of course, you know, the bigger hitting thing, the exciting shows, of course, you know, people, you know, with the big personalities like Archie, Tim, and the others, you know, I mean, you get that a bit later on, you know, it's just a little bit different.
You know, I mean, Archie would get, you know, sometimes way out of control, and, you know, he would have no idea most of the time, except for a few, who his audiences are. And especially during the COVID, as his audiences really exponentially grew, and you had all kinds of, you know, young, old, rich, poor, retired, working, doctors, blue collar, all kinds of people. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some billionaires, listening to his live stream quietly. I wouldn't be surprised. But certainly there are decamillionaires, multimillionaires listening to his live stream, and he had no idea who these people are. And these people found him funny or entertaining, or found his advice valuable, and wanted to either through chat or email or review or to come on the panel to talk about different things. And Archie would always try to kind of address you down. It's okay for a young kid, but it's tough for a 40, 50, 60-year-old family men to take this kind of even if it's in the name of comedy, to take this kind of abuse until unless you really kind of followed the guy for the last decade, and you kind of knew his background, how he stumbled upon doing this, right? So a couple of times through super chat and through not personal email, but just through other common panels, to say, "Hey, Archie, you kind of rip a new one." Okay, that's initiation, right? But after that, kind of get to know who some of these panelists are, and from the ones who really here to understand your advice and want to support you, kind of back off a little bit. It's jab a little, but back off. But the young ones, yeah, of course, rip a new one, because you will turn them into a horological manhood. It's part of the journey, right? So I don't know. He doesn't listen to anybody, but that's what I've been trying.
There is also, I'll say there's a whole completely different dynamic. If you actually meet Paul, it's Paul, because Archie is just the persona. He's the actor. He's the actor playing the part. If you actually meet Paul, then there's a whole different dynamic. And I'll say quite honestly to anybody, I'm just, if you get a chance, go to Vegas, go to where he's going, and actually meet him, talk to him. A completely different guy, completely different pace.
Right.
He even sounds different because he's having to be a bit loud, but Paul is quite a calm, sort of quiet gent. He's it's a different person, personality.
Yeah, I do believe that his explosion, not on social settings in person, but that Heathrow episode or the episode in the plane where he felt he was about to die. I think it's I could be wrong, but I truly believe it's an act because he's videotaping it for content for him, right? That's why I've never met the man, but I've never heard him personally exploding on personal social settings with at people. But on the show, of course, it's entertainment, and he's going to do what's going to make him comfortable.
Of course, he's got to make it entertaining. I mean, you look at, let's be honest, this talk truths. You look at Dodger show, we're having an interesting talk, an interesting pace. But there's no way, this sort of show where I'm doing, there's no way that's going to, sort of bring a living in for a guy. And, he has to be a showman at the end of the day, because that's what he does. He puts on a show. And to be fair, he's only like, people pay $80 a month to watch their, I don't know, Sky TV or wherever you have in the States.
Right.
You pay your subscription. It's no different to paying Archie, for the entertainment value that he gives you.
And the other thing is so entertaining beyond the watch advice is that he's in a reality show himself, right? His
whole life is open.
Yeah, he chose to make his life sharing the struggles of his life and the encounters of his life a part of his gig, and he does this full time, and that's how he feeds his family. Nothing wrong with that, as long as it's nothing is illegal, right? So, but when all of us go through all kinds of hardships in life, it's never all the time rainbows. It's ups and downs. And when he talks about some of the episode, and out of the 300 viewers who are watching it, I bet you 5 or 10% can see how that situation could have happened in their own life, and it resonates.
Yeah.
And the natural response the person gets, oh, I guess this guy gets me. Or now, there's one person who understands what I went through, and, super chats. And I go, what's wrong with that? Right? I mean, nobody's forcing you to super chat.
Absolutely.
We super chat. I know there's a very active young doctor on the chat in his live stream every night. He's a young doctor. He's got a young family. His wife had to take time off from work to raise his kid. So all the bills are piling on him, and he's probably very busy. He's probably hustling extra. So he can't super chat $50. But I do see him once in a while super chat at $2, $5. But he's very engaging with other people on the chat. And that's a value, right? And he sees a lot of, he's a young, I think in his early 30s. Archie is 50. So he sees a lot of, aha moment when Archie's so naked with his emotions and sharing of his life story. And for me also, it's a couple of things. Wow, yeah, I've been through that, and that's interesting. That's entertaining, and to a degree, it's a therapy. I will even go there and say that.
No, absolutely. For me, I mean, I really think came to a fore. I had a really, really bad accident, and I was in hospital for a long time, and then I had to turn a room here downstairs here into a little mini hospital because couldn't sit in the hospital forever. And there's a big question about how I'd walk again. I was lying in this bed. I got bed sores. They did the best. Nurses coming every day, taking care of these bed sores. And Jesus, I was just in a bad way. Feeling sorry for myself, and I was watching the clock constantly on the wall. Just being stuck in the bed for a month is it's an experience. I've never had that experience, and it was hell. But I just wait until some of the shows came on, and Archie would come on about. Well, I was feeling the most sorry for myself when I was in bed at about 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep on all these painkillers and stop me from sleeping. And it would actually cheer me up, and my wife would buy me a timepiece here and there as well, so I could feel as if I'm part of it. And it helped me through a very bad patch in my life. He was there. Although he doesn't know it,
Right.
He was there for me.
Yeah, no, I can see it. There's one panelist who constantly says, and I think the gentleman is on the show all the time, most of the time, or every day lately, and say, "Look, Archie saved my life." And I think the gentleman has shared some of his life story, incredible life story, and I can see how this man, finds this therapeutic, Archie session therapeutic. Once in a while, Archie gets verbally abusive.
Once in a while, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's if you have to see beyond that, right? I mean, I would. It's look. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit we all have this little, devil inside of us that when a man yells at another man, and you're not part of it, and somehow it's funny, even though the man who's receiving it is probably all bent out of shape, but
yeah, there is a
it's funny, right? We just hope that it doesn't happen that often, and if Archie does it, there's a reason why. There's an angle to it. It's just not some just do it just because you want to abuse someone, right? But most of the time that I have seen his explosions, he has an angle to it. He's found something that he can really hang his hat on, and he can go at this situation. And once in a while he goes off board, but most of the time I think if you take it as a comedy, and if he comes back and patches things up, and then it's okay, I think.
But there is a word where you get, I wouldn't say enjoyment, but some pleasure out of somebody else's misery. The only word that comes to mind is the German word, which is called Schadenfreude. I think it's the only country that sort of recognises that you can actually gain some, not joy but glee from somebody else's misery. But,
Yeah,
I
you know,
think, yeah.
some of the drama is funny, but you know, I just observe. I don't have the expertise to comment on it, but you know, it's not my livelihood. I'm pretty sure you know, Pontiff has his advisors, and he's at it full time. He's done it for 12 years, so he's, you know, middle-aged man. I have to assume he knows what he's doing. And you know, as long as people aren't getting physically you know, hurt,
Well, yeah,
they'll
I
be
think, yeah. To be honest, you know, okay, I'll be honest. You know, just more recently, I found some of the drama going to maybe a little bit too much to a dark
oh yeah,
side.
no, I agree, I agree.
You know, it shouldn't really go into that dark area. You know, it's not what it's
Right,
all about.
right. And I even wrote in one of the chats, you know, when you have grown men yelling at each other with saliva on your on your lips, it can't be soothing to the soul. It disturbs your inner peace, right, for a while, and that's not good.
No.
And you know, I think as long as it's in the Archie's live stream. Oh, I gotta get this dog out. His,
Oh, hang on, Floodland. I know why you can't see our names. Hang on, I'll work on that. Hang on. Blah, blah, blah.
no,
Blah,
he's when there's a
blah.
doorbell, he looks at me to say, "Hey, there's a stranger. Can you
That's
come
not
with me
working.
and let's go bark together?" That's what he's looking at me, and I'm telling him, "Go, go, go! Just leave me alone." So I had to chase him out of the door. But anyway, yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And so hopefully, you know, we'll see, you know, explosion on just to initiate people, and hopefully Archie gets to recognize his viewers, you know, and hopefully he'll be selective. Uh, but look, you know, he knows how to make money, how to make a living. You know, my personal opinion is he deserves to make a living. You know,
Absolutely.
he
Absolutely. That's how he
deserves.
makes a living. He's honest
Yeah,
about it. He's truthful about it. He
right,
says super chat because that's how he makes a living. There's nothing wrong in that.
right.
He's telling you
Yeah,
that's what it is.
exactly. You know, he's
No,
not
it's no
forcing you to
different
send
having a
money. His
subscription to a TV channel.
it's all voluntary. You know,
Yeah,
it's like the
absolutely.
army in the U.S.
Yeah,
So so I'm cool with it. You know, I support, you know, when I want what I want, um, and that's it.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Same here.
So
Same.
there was one question: any Belova? No Belova either. And I think Piroka said he's a purist. Yeah, I think what Jesus is purist. Um, yeah, that's pretty nice comments. That's nice, engaging chat a little bit, I think. But yeah, anybody can ask me if I have their favorite watch in my collection. Most likely, I probably don't because I don't claim to have all of it, but I do have some of it. So you're welcome to ask the question.
I'll ask you a question. Out of all your watches in rotation, do you rotate them all, or are there a select few that you rotate and wear?
Yeah, there's right now in my rotation, there's exactly 52 watches, and they're all in the a box here, nicely displayed. And I look at them, and I probably change every couple of hours if I feel bored or if I feel uncomfortable. Yeah, just crazy. Yeah, am I mentally sick a little bit about horology? Probably, but 52. Yeah,
What? You're on a 2-hour changeover cycle.
no, not. I'm just saying. You know, I may change every hour, but you know, most likely I'll probably change 4 or 5 watches in a day. But at nighttime, I do wear one watch that's comfortable on my wrist because of a 369 Rolex, and it's small size 36 Explorer, and it's kind of light. And at night, when I'm tossing and turning, looking at the time, I can know the time instantly without having to figure out and
Yeah.
disturb my sleep. So that piece gets my most rest time, I would say, because it's 6 to 8 hours a
I've
day.
got to say, from everything I've listened to, and what I've listened, this is Dodger talking. Um, I must admit, people, have people who have like high end pieces and quite a collection. A lot of people go back to wearing the Explorer. The Explorer seems to be one that everybody sort of goes for and probably wears the most and gets the most use out of. They seem to go back to people seem to go back to the Explorer.
Yeah, I mean, I read that a lot of people, there are a lot of purists who love Explorers.
Yeah.
You know, and the only time I wear Explorer is when I go to bed, because it's because of 369. Boom, I
Yeah.
know the time, I go back to sleep. There's no struggle to figure out what time it is, you know. Piroka asked any high-end watches. I'm assuming he means Trinity.
Dress watches. Dress watches, evening wear, where you sort of go out, maybe you're waiting, sit and tie or something.
I mean, would a Cartier tank,
Yeah,
best
that works.
watch, or Santos? I have both, or a Drive. You know, I have those 3 Cartiers, so I don't know if that's considered dress watch. I should be getting Lange 1 in next 30 days. So I think Piroka likes Lange. So that's people told me just Lange just 1. That's what consistently I heard. So I'm just going to get 1 Lange white gold, if not white gold, yellow gold. No moon face, just the basic Lange 1.
Have you ever considered a reverso?
Yes, I do have 1 GLC,
Okay.
and that is, I'm going through my Chrono 24 here to go find that spot. It's a Reverso, steel, large, that has, so you can flip it. So it's just that, yeah, it's that.
So it's not the duo face, it's the flip and it's just solid back.
No, it's a dual. No, it's a dual face. So, yeah,
dual face. Okay.
Yeah, the solid back is, I believe, the first sports watch to replace the mallet. But yeah.
Interesting. Very not good choice. Yeah, I'd probably, of all things, well, out of my league a little bit, Patek, but yeah, Cartier or certainly the Reverso is what I'd have.
Sorry, they just told me.
We okay? Mario, Air King on a rubber strap is very comfortable. Yeah, I'm thinking of trying to get a rubber strap for the. I forgot the name of the company, Ruberio, or I can't remember. There's a rubber strap for the 41mm Submariner 2-tone. I think that would look nice on a rubber strap. So I might get one, but I'm a bit worried about scratching the bugger when I change the strap over. I'm not the most careful person in the world when it comes to working on watches. That was it, Rubber B. Yeah, Rubber B. Raise your hand if you need a
Sorry about that. That was my kid's babysitter. The kids were home, so I had to instruct her to do stuff. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. Can't remember where we were. We were talking. Oh,
yeah, GLC. Yeah, so that's a GLC I have. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice. So yeah. So with that and the Cartier, you got a couple of very, very nice dressy watches.
Somebody asked about Air King. Actually, I love that watch, the old version.
Yeah,
I do have that. I'm trained as an engineer, so I love the Moon watch, the Air King, and the Milgauss.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Dodger's like hankering for a Milgauss. Don't ask me why, but she seems to like the Milgauss. It would be a blue dial, which is impossible to get. Or is it green? I'm colourblind, by the way. Oh, Reggie, if you did like in the Heimlich maneuver. I was wondering now whether or not something brought out. That's interesting. Yeah, it could be a nice watch brand, couldn't it, Heimlich? ask about the three favourites. I don't know if we'll get an answer to that, but we can try and ask, Flood.
3 favorites: Moonwatch, um, Milgauss,
Mm-hmm.
and um, the third. If I were to travel with 3 watches, I probably would travel Moonwatch, Milgauss, and the new Patek, which I don't have it yet. I'm trying to get one. The Calatrava with the hobnail bezel, rose gold. Yeah, those would be the 3 watches. I don't have the third one. And hopefully, I'll get one soon.
Well, there you go. We did get an answer, which is pretty cool. Now, Forbin Colossus is an interesting one. I think we might be the same age here, but he says, engineer, can you use a slide rule? Have a very old one. I must learn how it works.
No,
Well, I will say, Forbin,
I
I
was trained as an engineer 30 years ago. I've moved
before you
on
even get
to
to slide rules,
management.
look up log tables. That was before you slide rule. Try and work out how to use a log table and what that was all about. Man, those books were big, but yeah, you needed them when you did complicated division, navigation, that type of thing. But yeah, the slide rule was quite something. To be honest, I can't remember how to use them, but yeah. But look at log tables. It's quite an eye opener how a log table works. It helps you with probably more complex mathematics. Below the lunar pilot was used when the glass popped off the Amiga on the moon. Okay, so you're saying you use your below there once your glass pop. Did it pop out? Or was that the plastic glass one? Plexiglass, well, whatever it's called. You know what I mean, Mario. Beluga was on a tuning fork, wasn't it? It kind of same idea, but its frequency was produced by tuning fork, as opposed to quartz, was a quartz crystal. And the quartz crystal being more sort of accurate. Popped off, bloody hell! Well, how did you pop it off? Did you go down to the bottom of Mariana's Trench or something, or did you just go down a chip shop? How does it just pop off? No, Flood. I didn't know Blover apparently made all the gauges to NASA for a while. I guess everybody knows that. No, and that's something else I've learned tonight. There you go. Thank you, mate. But I do know what happened to all the glowing dials, all the radium dials after the Second World War. Because I mean, all the airplanes had these big flight systems, well, dials and things. But once it was discovered that radium was radioactive and not actually very good for you, what they did was they dug up part of Wales, took all these dials out of all the Spitfires and Lancasters and everything else, and then just buried them in a big pit by the beach in somewhere in Wales. Which apparently now is leaking and contaminating the sea. Surprise, surprise. Now, I still don't know why our names aren't coming up underneath. Something has changed, but you never know. Green's around. He does all sorts of strange things. I keep having to change things around from war rooms and various other things. It's like going into somewhere else where somebody else has participated before, and you have to kind of clean up their mess. But I don't know why our names are coming up. I'm just going to try and press a couple of buttons. See, normally our names would come up there, but I don't know. Somebody's changed something and they're far smarter than I am. But we do have, as the guest, our special guest is the Timepiece Fund, who is now doing the odd show on the Dungeon, which is very, very kind of him to give up some of his time to sort of come on and entertain us and Well, just keep the show open for the chat. Just keep the show open.
No, I'm not on the chart. Actually, I don't. I'm not on the chart.
Oh, no, I didn't say you're on the chart, and I said you come on the show. You've opened up.
Oh no, I think there's a question that you know.
Oh, sorry. So we said you're on
Yeah.
the chart. I don't know.
I'm not on the chart. But look, I support Archie, and I support. I'd like Arch to do well. I'd like Arch to keep, sharing the watch knowledge and his watch advice for all the new people in the hobby is a good one. It's a fair one. If it can, go beyond his crude way of delivering that message, and if you see his humor, and I think it's quite entertaining as well.
I think I'm still on the chart somewhere, just hanging on by a thread. And Floyd was just kidding. Yeah, Floyd kids a lot. But no, I don't know why our names are at the bottom. That's like green room's messed with something. Press some tit somewhere and now it's disappeared. There's so many options on how to set up these show things and what you can do, music, backgrounds. Somebody was saying that they weren't able to watch Archie's show from, I don't know what hours to use, from a while back, the last show Archie did. Reason being, he used some of the Thunderbirds theme music and the Thunderbirds film stuff from the UK, and his vid has been banned from the UK for copyright. So if you try and view it from the UK, you cannot view the last Archie Luxury show. The only way you can do it is get a VPN and pretend you're in another country in Europe. So I can still watch it here in Poland, but I was talking to John who can't in the UK because of the copyright situation. But if Archie just chops out that first bit of that vid and puts it back on, you can catch up with last night's Archie show. Hey, Timepiece, you still okay for time? Because you said, you're just popping out for a bit. I don't want to, man, because
No, it's okay. No, I'm here. That's all good.
Kind of you to be here, but if needs be, Dodger. Dodger's well used and well trained in being on his own. All by myself, I sing the song sometimes. What we got here, Mario? The Amiga muscled in more for marketing the real tools used were Bullover and Seiko's. Yeah, what was that last one that was like the white one that was authenticated by NASA to be a space watch? It was a mixture of analog and digital. Well, I can't remember, but Frolan, I rewatched Marcelo's excommunication after the stream this morning. I rewatched Marcelo's excommunication. Well, when you get a chance, catch up with Lex Dexter. I mean, I think he had a boom today. He hit gold. He hit gossip gold. So I don't plug channels from outside the Archieverse, but I do consider Lex as being
I think Lexter is it's a closet fan.
Exactly.
It's a closet Archie fan.
He watches every show and he comments on every show, and he's done this now from ever I can remember.
Yeah.
You'll find he watches through the show and he comments on every show. I mean, if Lex is not a fan, then who is? He has to be the biggest fan.
Yeah, he's certainly finds Archieverse very intriguing. A lot of people do. Look, and then plus once you start watching Archie, either you get turned off and you never watch it, but once you start watching them, you'll see how entertaining it can be. And if you're watch, if you like watches, mechanical watches, and you will learn a few things along the way as well.
Forbin says Dodger must be great to talking to you. So, yeah, I do that a lot. Ask Mrs. Dodger. So, well, why not? I'll come on YouTube and do it. But
why not?
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Yep, he's a huge fan. I think we're talking about. Of course, he has to.
I think he's on the chat. Lex is on the chat.
Oh, he's an art chat here. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. I see.
Hey, Lex. Say
Yeah,
hello.
yeah. I saw him earlier on the chat.
Hop
That's
on,
why
Skip. Hop on.
I saw that's Lux. I thought I saw Lex also.
Oh, don't make. Oh, I made that mistake. I almost had to shoot myself.
No,
Please do not mix up Lux report with Lex report.
yeah, I know.
Um,
Lux is the original owner of this channel, actually.
this
Right?
is yeah. This is his homeland. I mean, he created. You see these things, these triangular things in the background behind us. Um, he actually opened the show when those were being built.
Hmm.
You get sucked in for sure. Yup. You do, even if you had a bad time, so, well, I'm not going to watch this anymore. That's it. I'm done with this. I'm going. I'm never coming back. I can't be doing this. Then you find yourself, well, fidgeting and thinking, well, what am I going to do now? And you think, well, I'll just go and watch the show again. So, yeah.
Now, Dodger, did you go to London to meet Archie during the show? I mean, I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
you
Went there to
met him,
meet
but
I went
did you
there to
go
meet
just for that
Archie and
purpose?
the guys in the chat.
Did you go just for that purpose, just to meet him?
Just for that purpose, yeah. Just
Wow,
to meet. So I found so many
that's
friends
very nice.
here in the chat, and also I knew Archie would be there. Yeah, I wanted to go down.
Yeah,
Meet Archie and
I'd
go
like
meet
to.
the guys.
I'd like to meet him when he comes to New York in October. I just have to make sure I'm not traveling those days.
Oh, sure. You
Yeah.
know, please do, and please. Honestly, he worked so hard. I mean, you could see he was like really jet lagged, and he's like didn't know anybody from Adam. And gosh, I don't know how he got through it, but he sat through it. He was there right at the main entrance, right? So people could walk through, see Arch. They could take a picture, have a picture taken themselves with him, have a chat with him, shake his hand. And he was there all day long. We had Jay, who was like selling T-shirts, and Archie spent half an hour signing the guys' T-shirts and nothing. No, he
Mm,
didn't say I'll sign them for such and such. He signed all these guys' T-shirts, Archie Luxury, for free. And he wasn't asking people for super chats for the pictures. He wasn't asking,
right.
he was just there, just sort of joining in, welcoming the people who were his fans who'd come a long way to come and see him. But he'd also come a long way to London to see us guys. So, fair play. Fair dinkum, as we'd say. Fair dinkum.
Mm.
As to whether or not he made any money out of it or it was totally funded, I don't know. I think it was funded in a way. But yeah, really, for me, the London Watch Show was secondary. But I did see some people just did some nice vintage watches.
Yeah, I don't understand vintage and don't have interest either. Probably
No,
because I don't
it's a
understand it.
minefield. Honestly, it's a minefield. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
subject to its own right, and I wouldn't suggest to anybody unless you really start getting some expert help. If you're going to try and get into the hobby at that level, I would just be really careful,
yeah.
guys. Just be
I don't.
really careful, really careful.
Yeah, and I
If
don't
not,
understand this Richard, Mille or Millet either. I suppose the purist will certainly educate me and talk about why this is such a great timepiece with all the new technology, new material, and new way of doing things. And I get all that, but emotionally, it just doesn't evoke anything in me. And I can say the same thing about so many other timepieces, and then sometimes a simple, Tudor Black Bay GMT, especially on the Jubilee bracelet, aftermarket Jubilee bracelet. You look at it and you go, "Oh wow, that just seems awesome!" And it's what, $4,000, right? It's
yeah.
yeah, it's very different, different for different people, right?
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. We're all different. We all have different interests. We all have different tastes. When it comes to watches, I guess, but the one thing we have in common is our passion for watches. It's
Yeah.
nice that we to watch show. If you're not necessarily a Patek fan or a Rolex fan or wherever it is fan, at least we were able to meet with like-minded people who had a bit of a passion for their watches, who worked, extremely hard to get the money to get these watches, to get a collection of
Yeah.
nice watches.
You mentioned Grand Seiko earlier, and I have liked Seiko automatic made in Japan for a long time, and I learned about Grand Seiko about 2 years ago through just the YouTube channels and just articles, and I started following it, and I, just out of the blue, I said, let me just go and talk to the boutique guy in Madison Avenue. They have a Grand Seiko boutique. What I was shopping for was the Marine Master Blue, the Seiko Marine Master Blue, right? And I bought that, and he said, "Hey, look, are you into Seiko? I mean Grand Seiko?" And started doing and I immediately fell into the rabbit hole. So literally I found myself, I think it was 3 years ago, so purchasing one Grand Seiko a month out of that boutique and some other ADs. And the more I learned about it, really you want to focus on is a limited edition, this and that. And all of a sudden I found myself 24 Grand Seiko, 25 now, right? And I said to myself, "Nah, this is just getting way out of hand. I got to stop looking at it." So I took one out. I wear one Grand Seiko, which is SBGE 205, Champagne Dial GMT, fits my wrist perfectly. And that's one I have in one of the 52 rotation, which is on the video that I put for this channel. So 2 months ago, the guy called me up and said, "Hey, look, you used to be the largest Grand Seiko collector in New York Metro for 18 months in a row, and all of a sudden you stopped coming here for the last 6 months, and you've got a number of people who beat you." I'm like, "Thank you. I don't want to be the largest Grand Seiko collector in New York Metro anymore." So yeah, so that's my Grand Seiko story. In fact, the one I'm wearing here on the photo is just that SBG 205. I think I put somebody to sleep.
So when it's asleep, where what?
Huh? I'm sorry?
There's something strange just happened. Weird.
I don't think you heard what I had to say, but
No, I didn't.
but
I
it was
didn't
not
know.
working anyway.
Something jumped in.
Oh, is that right?
I reckon green rooms in the background has been naughty.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you can't tell me.
A more drama effect. Okay, I get it. I get the.
But we're
I get
about
the
due
gist.
for a dungeon for a war room. So we're
Mm.
missing green.
I see.
Green, hop on.
Yeah, it's they're telling me to keep quiet. Enough of your story.
Forbin Colossus, was that me snoring? No, I
Uh,
deny everything. It was not me snoring. I'm in complete denial.
uh,
And even if it was me snoring, I'll be denying. Oh dear. I haven't finished my wine. It's not time for snoring yet.
It's SBGE 205. Yeah, it's SBGE 205. I think he missed the E. It's the watch on my on that profile picture. I guess what you say. Yeah, profile picture. And in fact, you can get this piece on a secondary market for $3,000 literally in mint conditions. Great value for money if you like the watch. So I wouldn't buy this brand new because you will lose $2,000 or something like that immediately. So just buy in secondary market, learning from Archie.
E stands for excellence.
Just a second here.
So what's the lineup tonight, guys? Is it Timmy first, or is it Lord Hellspont first? Or let's have a look. What's on the what's on the itinerary tonight? The YouTubers, the talents. What talents have we got tonight? Listen to free ads. No, I don't want to do that. What's it doing that for? What we got? Oh, I'm not signed in. Hang on. Okay, right there. I lost my sign. Oops. Oops. YouTube. What's on tonight? Oh dear, that's what it is, isn't it? So Lex is like cotton on to something now, and he's like not really going with it. I don't blame him for watching that. Watch live. Amber Heard testifies in different. What is this Amber Heard? She the one that like does the poo in your bed. I must admit, I've never had a girlfriend that ever pooed in my bed.
Tampons in your garden.
Well, don't start with that, Mrs. Dodge. Wait a minute. Yeah, what's a girlfriend poos in your bed? I mean, how does that happen? Oh. Well, that's why we've got 10 views, because Lex has got the other 15. Well, there you go. But that was a bit of drama, I suppose. But Forbin, do you reckon, I mean, these limited pieces when it comes to Seiko and others, do you think does it ever give you any kudos when you come to sell it? Does it make them worth any more money?
Some of these Grand Seikos do have pretty strong aftermarket value. The one that Forbin Colossus mentioned, I do have all of those three pieces actually. SPG 275, 273, 277. It was extremely hard to get. It's 140 piece, limited to 140 piece each.
Wow.
And it never saw, the AD's showroom. Actually, I was contacted, by the AD to make sure I was not passing up on it. And once I got educated, I said, go ahead, put me on for it. And I think in the aftermarket, it doubled. I mean, that's what they say, but
Really?
yeah, some of these. But again, with Grand Seiko is kind of like Omega, right? They have special this, special that, all over the place. You really have to kind of do your homework. Again, just to repeat Archie, he says, unless you are truly into watch collecting, unless you have bought your, first Rolex, then Man on the Moon, then your diver, you've got your core collection. And if you still want to venture out, then only you want to go get a Grand Seiko. Just get one. Get one, enjoy it, then only do more homework, more research before you start buying it, right?
So there's still our Seiko pieces. Do you still think that? Well, do you know if there's Seiko pieces that are worth like double their market value, like these pieces you're talking about, the limited?
Yeah,
are they double?
yeah, they're 4,900, and I think in secondary in Chrono,
Okay.
Chrono says
So it's not all a big mistake, is it? By investing in watches at some of us might call shitters or whatever they want to do, but just goes to show that's not strictly true.
Right, but remember, it has taken Archie, I don't know, 5-6 years before he warmed up to Grand Seiko. Somebody had to really push him to take a look at the watch, and he does. In fact, the ones that they're talking about here in the chat, that's almost like a reissue of the original SPGW 231, which is the white dial, which what Archie wants actually. But there's a SPG 263, which is they call Eagle, that tripled in value. Actually, that's 100 pieces here in U.S. only. There are some, but just like Omega,
Wow,
Snoopy.
triple.
Yeah, Snoopy tripled. Snoopy, I think, quadrupled, right? Or
that's gone crazy. I think the Snoopy.
Right. So there's just like Omega has few watches that the value is really up there because they control the production, and there's a little bit of history and a little bit of hype. Of course, always a hype around these things. And if you put a little bit of hype and control production, and enough people out there in the community talk about it or write about it, and then all of a sudden it becomes very desirable, right? So there's no difference here, but you got to be very careful with Grand Seiko. I mean, look, if you like the watch, there's nothing to worry about. It's a great value, but don't buy 99% of the watches. 99.9% of the time, watches are not investment. Some will preserve value if you buy wisely.
We got here in the chat. We got BJ Moore. Hang on, I'm gonna have to get. Oh, hang on, I've got to change screens. So I'm in the wrong place. I try and be dodgy in some places, and I have to be in StreamYard to do other things. So now I get lost. BJ, is that you, Cam? Because I know I've seen you on. Hang on, which shows you're on? You're on mainly on Team Stream. No, that's great. I mean, you're talking about being a black guy on, the stream. No, that's cool. It doesn't matter. Color of your skin just don't matter. 3 of my greatest heroes have to be black. So that's cool. Yeah, I've kind of heard of you. You're welcome on the show, of course, man. You are. Mario, it's the Grand Seiko High Beat 3600 hours men's watch. Actually, I'll go back up. Oh, hang on, cat's going mad. Who said you've got them on the wrist at the moment? That's it, Mario Vera. I'm wearing my Seiko Space Navigator Titanium 31-day chronograph velocity and altitude on bezel to calculate orbit. Do you understand any of that? Are you there, Timepiece Man?
Yes, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Yeah, Mario's saying I'm wearing my. Hang on, I'll put it.
I see it. That Titanium 31-day chronograph velocity. That sounds like either solar or quartz. I don't think that's a mechanical watch. Maybe Mario can correct us. Don't know unless he gives me the model number. Don't know what that is. The only the Grand Seiko titanium I have. The only titanium I have in Seiko is the Baby Snowflake, which is SARX 055, and there are a few titaniums I have on Grand Seiko. But there's one chronograph I have. I don't know if that's what he's talking about. That chronograph, they call it a Lion Claw SPGC 231, limited to 500 pieces. Don't know if he's talking about that. Oh, 6M23-. No, don't. I don't know what that watch is. I'll look it up. 6M237010. Oh, it's also known as SBBD005. Okay, it's not a mechanical watch. I think it's got to be either quartz, and it looks like vintage too. Very rare watch, looks like. Wow, you learn something every day.
Well, there you go.
I don't think it's mechanical.
So there's a lot of chats coming in from Mario. It's a little known but true blue space watch that was used by a Japanese astronaut on one of the shuttle missions. It spent a month in space. It's known as the Space Navigator. Well, there you go.
Yeah, quartz.
Yeah.
Yeah, quartz. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, quartz. Mario's saying, yeah, it's quartz. But yeah, anything that's been in space, I guess, yeah, you can call it a space watch. Even, it's just spent a month. Just going back some of the chats, see what I might have missed. But yeah, if anybody wants to hop on, I'll just copy in the. Cam, if you want to join us, man, you're more than welcome. As I say, we're not a hard, fast-hitting show like the Archie. It kind of won't quite get the excitement here, but if you want a chilled out time and just talk, that's all we do. We talk about anything. We talk about watches. We talk about almond milk. Spec problems.
I think Mario Vieira.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned. Let's see. I think he mentioned a watch, Grand Seiko Movement, that won some kind of award. I just found out I have that piece, watch SLGH 003. High beat, 80 hours, limited to 1,000 pieces.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. Sometimes I have to look back what I have. I've forgotten.
I can imagine with 200, you can't be expected to remember the 200 pieces you've got, man.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what day it is sometimes.
Sometimes in the weekend, I'll just sit there and wind, all of them. It takes me 4 hours.
Really?
Don't spread the rumor that I do that, because people will say I'm really, really crazy. But I kind of found that very therapeutic, just kind of, winding, because I don't put any of them. I do have winders, but I don't put them on winder. But it's funny how I will go there and put the right, exact time, and I'll wind it, and I'll see it, and I'll use the cloth to kind of make it shiny, and I'll put it back. I'll put it in my wrist and enjoy for 30 seconds or a minute, and I'll put it back. Crazy stuff we do, right?
Well, no, I spend probably 2 times a week, 4 hours. I spend 4 hours cutting the grass. I'm gonna be honest. I prefer spending 4 hours going through a watch collection rather than spending 4 hours going through cutting the damn lawn. So
the skin, got so bad, so I had to buy one of those thumb or the finger.
Oh, right, where your thumb skin out. Yeah.
I had to buy one of those thumb protectors or the finger, slips or rubber thing that the watchmakers wear. Yeah, I had to buy those, and now it's very easy for me to wind. Some of the Seikos are really hard to wind; they're really rough on your fingers.
Yeah, the crown.
Or even Omega, even with the Omega, sometimes it's hard to grab them.
Yeah, I didn't think about that one. Yeah, where's your finger out? Going through 160 odd watches. It's going to wear your finger out, your thumb out. That's for sure. So how many turns? Okay, there's always a question. On an automatic watch, how many turns would you give the watch? Or do you wait until you get, that feeling where it feels a bit gritty?
Mm.
Where,
Yeah, Archie likes to kind of give it a shake. I don't like that. I'm
Yeah.
always, I just give them. I have some watches that has power reserve counter. That kind of meter, and I've counted for a 40 hour. It takes good 30 windings. So
Yeah.
to get to fully charged or fully wound. So I give it, just to be safe. I give it 25.
Yeah,
At
I'll do
first.
25 too.
Yeah, 25, and then
25,
and
same
and
here.
then leave it there, right? If you really want to, you shouldn't do more than 30 for sure, but 25 is enough.
But do you also set the date, or do
I
you like?
do. I do. I
Do
do.
you do it enough that they're always on the same date as well? So do you do it frequently enough so none of them stop?
No, I mean, I wouldn't do it. I don't wear the 200 watches, right? I mean, I wear 52 of them. But one time, before I put some of these things in the safe, I did go through that 4-hour episode only once. But I do find myself spending an hour for sure on a weekend just to go through all the 52 watches, which are in my daily rotation, and make sure the day, date, for the GMTs. Always put it in Paris because one of the companies that I've invested on is headquartered in Paris, that I'm actively involved in, and I always put my GMTs in that
Right,
time
surprised.
zone, and
Okay.
I kind of do that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's where you do your business. That's what you're interested in. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm interested in UK time, but I only have to take it out. I've only got to take an hour off the time here, and I'm back in the UK, so it's not so complicated. But some of the other buggers, American times, I think they're really so.
Sometimes what happens is one of the triple calendars. I have a few watches that are triple calendars, and to match them is sometimes it's a chore. So I have to use one of the pushers. I have to be careful not to scratch the dial. And I never worry about the moon phase because they can never get them right. I just leave the moon phase on, but the rest I do try to put them in the right date, month, date, and day.
So you don't mess at all. You don't use watch winders at all.
No, I have watch winders, but I don't use them.
Yeah, I'm the same. I got one free from a jeweler, but I never use it. Yeah. Mrs. Dodger did for a bit until I told her, well, I'm just going to wear the watch out. But, I'm going to have to teach her how to wind the watch up properly.
The Seiko Shake is a vintage thing. Yeah, my dad used to do that. I remember as a kid, he had a dress watch Omega that he didn't wear daily, but he had a beater that he got in Japan. He was stationed in Japan in 1974, and he had I think it was automatic. It was a pretty beefy watch. And I don't know. I mean, I wear my watch in the left hand, but he used to wear it in his right hand. And my dad had a little thicker wrist than I do, and I remember that watch. Yeah, he given him a quick whack, a couple of whacks. yeah.
So explain that to me because I don't get that. I mean, I do remember, and I did used to shake my watch, my first real proper mechanical watch, and I used to shake it. I mean, is it something special about shaking a vintage? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, maybe in those days because the automatic movement, that rotor, was probably not as smooth as it is today. Now, when you look at the back of the watch, and especially if it's a see-through case back, I kind of enjoy just gently rotating it. Sometimes I find myself doing that just out of boredom or just out of fixation, whatever you want to call it. I'm doing it right now when I'm talking, but I've never, on the modern watches, I don't feel comfortable giving it a hard whack like that.
That's amazing what they take. I mean, I've got to talk about sort of foibles things. I never used to play with bezels, but since I had this Seamaster 300, new Seamaster 300, I find myself spending all evening twizzling the bezel, you know. Just sit
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I
Yep,
don't do
yep.
it with the Rolex. I don't do it with the Submariner. For some reason, every time I see Master, I'm having to avoid it because I swear to God, I'm going to burn out the bezel.
Which
I'm just going to
which
burn
color
it
you
out
have
for years.
on that Seamaster? Which color?
I've got the blue face, which changes colour.
I
You know,
have the same one, the blue. I
yeah,
have
with the way
42.
the
I mean, what
dark.
size do you have? 44 or 42?
I don't know. It's got it's a new one. It's a zirconium,
Yep, yep, the new one. But it
wavy
also
dialing
comes in two
thing.
sizes, I think, 44 and 42.
Oh, I don't know. Then I don't know what I
They
bought.
used to come on 38 also, medium size. I don't know if they make it anymore, but yeah, I have the 42, same blue. Beautiful watch, such a great value, for money, and classic. James Bond,
Yeah.
always,
That's the
iconic.
1996 something James Bond watch. But the box and papers and all that's in the UK, so I couldn't tell you. I'd have to measure it. I didn't
Mm,
realise it came in two sizes.
yeah.
I'll measure it. I've got it upstairs somewhere. But oh, we've got a Lord in the house. Hi, Lord. Hi, mate. We've got Meatball. Meatball, of course. Whining versus
Oh,
Shaggy.
Mr. Hellespont the fifth
It's a house
is
part,
here.
absolutely.
Yeah. Is it Hellespont or Hellespont?
I'm
Probably
not sure.
Hellespont.
We
Yeah.
need a correction. It's mine.
Mm. I'm looking forward to the summer just to just to go through the watches and enjoy it in the sun. Some of these watches you really need to kind of
Oh
enjoy,
yeah, sunburst
in the
stars,
sun.
like the
Yeah.
blues in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that, but even the Seamaster that you're talking about looks amazing in the sun.
Yes, sometimes it can be the brightest blue you can imagine, and it
Yeah.
changes from the morning to the afternoon to the evening. It can be like three different colours. In the evening, it's black. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
No, it's a very interesting watch. And sometimes you can't see the waves, and other times you can't. And
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes the waves look black, but then
Hmm.
other times the waves look like little white lines going through the watch. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like mostly bizarre.
Right.
Hey, Lord.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
All right, forgot you could put yourself in. I almost clicked you and removed you.
How are you, Timepiece Fun?
Good. Good. How are you, Mr. Hellespont?
Doing great, man.
You know
Work.
that profile picture of yours
Yeah.
looks like slightly older, the Pine Barren.
You're so funny, man. That's I just choose usually like public figures, but obscure public figures. That's kind of a joke to myself mostly. I was say inside joke, but for an inside joke, you have to have some partners in it, and this is mostly in my head. So, but I usually choose people politically objectionable to me, so I can get a laugh out of it. This guy used to be the finance minister of Silvio Berlusconi, but he has decent style. He's wearing a vintage sub, and it looks beautiful. And I think there's a point in that. I had Edward VIII's coronation reverso for a coronation that never took place. I actually hate that guy's guts because he was a Nazi sympathizer. Before that, I had Hafez al-Assad's, the Syrian dictator's personal Polar Explorer 2 with his signature on the dial. And I hate his guts too. So, but there's a point in that, I figure.
Yeah, sounds like there's a point in that somewhere.
Because, at the end of the day, and I think this is a good lesson for Watch YouTube too, even with people that we actually despise, we might have something in common.
Ouch.
And I think there's a point in that we can, if with all this little back and forth and banter and sometimes the social media beef, all of that, falls aside when it comes to the passion for wristwatches. If I can find something to like about this man's outfit and the watch he wears, I can certainly appreciate someone with whom I have a slight disagreement with.
Slight. I don't think I'd ever want to wear Hitler's watch.
I mean,
Like
slight
this
disagreement.
dude.
I mean, other people in the Archieverse,
Right.
that's what I mean with slight disagreement.
Right,
Like Tim, Sirocco, and people like that who actually, at some level, I still consider friends and comrades in a way. So that's what I mean. Otherwise, yeah, still fuck Clueless, Watch Channel, and the failed musician. People like that are the actual enemy, and the gray market dealers. That's another issue. But
You've lost me now. I don't know who failed musician is, and I don't know who Clueless is. So I've been watching all this for years. There's still loads I've got to learn.
the guy who lives in Venice, that's the guy. I just don't want to give him.
Oh, yeah. I saw a bit of what happened there.
Yeah. Hey guys. Hey, lovely people in the chat.
Yeah, we've got the usual suspects, the usual good guys. We'll do. Lord, we're doing what we do. It's just a quiet pace here. We just talk about stuff, just relax a bit.
How's Mrs. Dodger?
Yeah, she's okay, but she's got to go to hospital for some tests, which always this time of year is always a bit of a worry. So we'll see. She'll see what we see. Yeah, I think sort of felt as a little thing. So we enjoy our hobby, enjoy it, got to enjoy our health. While you've got health, and while you've got health, you're blessed.
Yes, that's the most important. Health, family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Maria Vieira says he owns oil lamp clock from the early 19th century. What could be an oil lamp clock? Something burning for, I don't know. Interesting.
I don't get the reference either.
Yeah, he says, I mainly work with vintage. The oldest clock I own is an oil lamp clock, early 19th century.
Where are we looking? But yeah, people did used to put movements into the strangest of things at times.
There are lots of interesting contraptions when you dive into horological history, and there's some inspiration to be gotten from that as well. Lange did, his ancestor, the first founder of the watchmaker, collaborated, I should say, in making the stage clock for the Dresden Opera House. And they kind of started riffing on that mechanism of the 5-minute clock with the large display for a lot of their lineup. The big dates, the oversized dates display on Lange 1, the digital display of hours and minutes in Zeitwerk, and even the day date display on Odysseus, the sports watch.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be learned, at least for aesthetics, for design elements. I know a lot of brands still decorate their movements in ways that are inspired by pocket watches.
Yeah, I've seen that. And some people are actually, well, the mainly third parties on the decorating the outer case. They're sort of engraving the outer cases, hand engraving.
Hmm. Yeah, that 3/4 plate that Lange has for their movements is apparently how the Saxonians used to do pocket watch movements in the 19th century. So it's I like that. I get inspired by historical connections like that.
That's always interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never been able to get, to be honest, I've never been able to get into that level of knowledge. But I'm kind of enjoying. Been able to get, to be honest, I'm enjoying my journey at the moment. I am kind of getting there, and I am starting to get appreciation of these things, and I'm starting to get my own little stories together. Learning a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, we all have different paths into the hobby, and also just different focus once we get into it. So I think there's a place for all of that.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised to learn that we have our watch community, but the watch community in its own right be quite diverse in what it's interested in and what it's interested to learn about. What types of watches certain people, there is a diversity within the hobby, which I find a very interesting dynamic.
Oh, I just heard, by the way, that there's this new internet website called Loop This. That's like a collaboration between a dealer here and between two dealers here, Justin Grunberg and Eric Koo. And they kind of do their own auctions on rare and desirable watches, and they just sold. And I think it's like a new glass ceiling, because of course the more distinguished auction houses like Christie's, Sotheby's, and Phillips make all sorts of sales, of course, because they have the name recognition. But these guys, they're an upstart, and they just sold the 1967 Cartier Crash for $1.6 million on a website.
Wow.
They don't have a storefront. They have a good reputation as vintage watch dealers, previously. So it does matter that it's Eric Koo and Grunberg collaborating on it. But I don't think there's a precedent for this, which is an interesting development, right? As the shady gray market is losing face and the prices are dipping there, you still have, for certain prestige pieces and a certain level of quality dealers who are breaking records. Oh, Forbin. Actually, speaking of Grunberg, I think his usual dealer, Keystone, still has a watch that's probably a personal watch of Saddam Hussein. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Well, Forbes saying they got the face. Have you got one of the face of Saddam Hussein on the watches? Have you got one, Lord? One of his watches?
I think so. He, that guy. I mean, that's a different level of a villain, I have to say.
I don't know. Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past him to put his face on the watches, but I have seen some similar examples. I think there's one where the Omani sheikh has like his entire portrait on a watch. But let's see if I can find this particular one that I'm talking about.
Hey, Lord, I don't want to be rude, but can I leave you with the show because I've been on for 2 hours 25, and there's some things I've got to sort out here. This
Hey guys, I have to get back to work as well. This
Of course.
I was going to
Of
come back and I was going to come here for 30 minutes lunch break.
did
I think
say, yeah, just
it's going to be an hour and a half now. So nice talking to you, Dodger. And good talking
Okay,
to you,
mate.
Mr. Hellisby.
I'll hold down the fort for a little bit at least, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe somebody else will jump on.
It's been nice talking to you, Timepiece. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's a pleasure, guys. Take care, both of you.
Well, I'll hang on a little bit. I'll drop a few links. Can't leave you alone. Invite copies of clipboard.
I think it's already sold. He had this. Maybe it was Vacheron Constantin. Recently sold. He has a place for recent. But speaking of which, I did find
What you're searching for?
I was searching for what is this
Oh, yeah.
personal watch, but this is an Audemars Piguet with Armani rulers, Armani Sultan's entire portrait.
Wow. Wow. Can't you have an AP with your picture on it?
Hey,
Really amazing.
it depends on your net worth, so to speak. And this was ordered through Asprey of London.
Well, how much you paid for that?
I don't know, but it being a very small watch by modern standards and being a little too quirky for most tastes, it's right under 20K here.
Wow.
I'm sure he paid much more than that to Audemars Piguet originally.
Not cheap to get your own shake on your wrist.
Yeah, that must be a distinct pleasure and a privilege.
Yeah, absolutely. Of the shake on your wrist. Well,
funny thing is, of course, that he probably just gifted it to someone. So no matter what it was worth, it's either worthless or invaluable, depending on what kind of meaning you put into it.
so is that a one of one, or did he have? Sometimes they do a batch, don't they? They do a whole batch of them to give away to the family and friends. So is there a one of one? Or?
I have seen similar watches, and the Armani watch is basically a genre of luxury watch at this point. In the auction, I found it now. In the auction, the Rolex watches, for example, that have his royal insignia, like what they call Khanjar, the crossed daggers.
Cross daggers, yeah, in the sense, yeah.
So I just found very quickly an IWC watch that has that. Look, these pull incredible numbers, like when it's on a Rolex and similar. So a lot of times what I think is, I can't say it for every single watch without doing the proper research, but a lot of times they were parts of bulk orders. And when it comes to the Rolexes, the Sea Dwellers, the Submariners, they were actually personal gifts to a lot of the British soldiers / mercenaries that he used to suppress the rebellion.
All right, okay.
So they were bulk orders in most cases. Bulk orders from Rolex, bulk orders from Audemars Piguet, IWC. And I did find that it was a Patek Philippe, apparently. And since it came with an extract, from
Oh, I
from
see
Patek.
the arms. Yeah.
That it has his signature. It has the Iraqi coat of arms, and it has this unique jewelry bracelet.
That looks like a German eagle, actually. That looks like the German insignia, but I'll take your word for it because I don't know what the coat of arms was. Oh, yeah, the 3 stars. Yeah, the red and the black.
You can see down there. I mean, the flag is there, but also
Yeah.
it says Iraqi Republic in
Yeah,
Arabic
yeah.
down
Yeah.
here. Yeah, it's an interesting watch because one, it's way too flashy to be just a bulk order and something
No,
to give
absolutely.
away. And it's also, I think Saddam basically consolidated his power in early 80s. So if this archive paper holds truth and it's from 1979, it might actually be a personal order watch that was just for him in this case. And it's already sold, but it was like for 20,000 or something. So for the right person, it's either it's either invaluable
Yeah.
or
Or
list.
historical, you have some kind of interest, or you're some distant family member, maybe you want to be part of it. But somebody made a little comment here. What about a Bafaris watch? Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably buy a Bafaris watch.
He will have to
Why
give.
not? Why not?
Moritz says Asprey goods are actually beautiful. Timepiece Fund, yes, people love Timepiece Fund. Thanks for coming in and chatting with us, Timepiece Fund.
Is he off? Oh no, it's gone anyway. Yeah, sorry. You. No,
I-
thank you, Timepiece. Yeah.
Ironically, the photo feature is used on gravestones. It feels like a death watch. I think in the Islamic tradition, you cannot actually do that. So you can't put a picture of yourself or a photo of yourself or even a painting of yourself on your gravestone. Same thing in the Jewish tradition. I think it would be a little. Well, again, it depends on your level of observance, right? But for a ruler, I don't think they would risk something like that. Meatball says they should make a Buffett's version of that watch. Punter's version for the win. Forbin, LOL. The Patek with the Iraqi coat of arms is wild. I like it. Yeah, I mean, look, it's like it's so bad that it's good. In that kind of way, I can really appreciate it. Like it's so wild and tacky and glitzy that it could be a good conversation piece for the right collection. Absolutely.
Some amazing pieces.
Yeah, hey, when you can, when you oppress and repress your own people and have the entire country's resources, dictatorially in your own hands, I guess you can have some nice watches.
Well, yeah, I guess maybe if you're lucky and you're oppressed after 25 years of oppression, he might buy you one of these, not gift you one of these nice watches.
Yeah, if you're a loyal subject, I'm sure.
Yeah, loyal subject for 25 years. Yeah,
you stand a good chance.
Stand a good chance of getting a watch. Yeah,
why not, right? And just to ground that earlier conversation, since I said they just broke that record, let me show you that watch. It's what people sometimes call the Dali watch, right?
Oh, yeah. Looks like it's melted.
Yeah. And this one sold for 1.6.
Wow, 1.6 mil, I guess.
Yeah, they
Dollars
did like.
good. I was going to say to Diego, hi, yeah, hop on and give Lord a hand. I need to hop off. I've been on for over 2 hours and I've got things to do. But Diego, hop on, give Lord a hand. The show's going kind of okay until the big superstars come on.
Well, if he does, that would be great. If not, if you have to jump off, it's okay. I mean, I can close it.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't want to leave you, holding the baby, but that's cool. Drop a few links to your show as well. Hey guys, if you haven't, please give Lord a hand. If you're not subscribed to Lord's channel, please do that. Please do that, and give him the thumbs up and subscribe to Lord's channel, please. Thank you. Take care, man. I should hop off ski. See you guys in the chat. It's been nice and quiet, peaceful, relaxed. Peace and love to all. Good night.
Take care, Dodger.
Take care.
Nice talking to you as always.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Frank V. Is Pam 111 at 5,500 worth it? Are they hard to come about? Frank, I will have to be very frank and honest with you. I don't know much about Panerai, except for some historical example. X was actually helping them out. So if someone in the chat can help Frank V, we would genuinely appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for the link and support, Dodger. This is my channel, and I'm trying to have a go at it, make a push to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I'm coming up with new content, at least live streams and interviews every day. So I would appreciate any support. If you haven't subbed up yet, please do. If you can spread the word on other platforms, that would be great. But hey, I think the avatar actually doesn't show up on YouTube. Is that right? Just changed it to something else to try it out. And now that I brought up that story about those Khanjars and Armani dials, maybe we can have a little bit of a dive into that subject. Quill and Pad, which is a resource and a kind of internet magazine that I really respect, had a great article on this. Khanjar and Caboose Rolexes are the vintage watch industry's blood diamonds. Desirable artifacts sometimes come with uncomfortable truths. Caboose is the name of the Armani ruler who has just deceased a couple of years ago. And he came into power basically by suppressing a leftist revolution and deposing his own father. So that's why, hence that particular headline. And he was known as the Red Sultan, and you can kind of imagine where the red comes from. And here you have a vintage Daytona 4-digit 6263 with the sultanic insignia right under the Rolex Oyster. Gorgeous watch. A recent example of serious watch collectors expressing increasing interest in vintage watches bearing either the Sultanate of Oman's khanjar, the traditional Omani dagger that you can see. Of course, the royal insignia is the double crossed ones, usually in red, or of the current Sultan Qaboos ibn Sa'id al-Bu Sa'idi. I think it should be al-Bu Sa'idi. Increasing demand for watches with the Omani emblem is understandable given the high quality, good condition, demonstrable provenance, and rarity of most of those watches, combined with the fact that they had often been presented to their first owners in the 1970s by Sultan Qaboos in person as a token of gratitude for services rendered to the then nascent sultanate. Thank you, Forbin. I think it's a great topic too. It can be, it can be a little snooze-inducing for some, but at least we are at an early enough part of the day, and I have some time to kill in my little lunch break. So, of course, everyone would, especially when it comes to Rolexes, right? When people say provenance, of course, a lot of times that's the ability to track it down to the first owner and to acquire a watch that's above all in great condition. But when it comes with this sort of mythology and perhaps a kind of celebrity stardust at times, that provenance is of course embellished. And in this case, you have watches with very specific lineage of ownership, watches given as a gift for a certain kind of performance, whether athletic or military related. These watches, of course, hold an incredible premium, and suddenly these were in vogue, especially in the 2010s, so to speak. Now that everything has gone crazy, of course, most of these watches don't even go for sale, and when they do, they catch the kind of numbers where you probably only have a handful of buyers who can actually compete. They are therefore comparable to watches produced by Rolex for the Peruvian Air Force and French diving company Comex, especially where a special dial was printed for the watch, thereby guaranteeing its rarity. Other very sought-after Omani pieces include sports diving watches such as the reference 1665 Rolex Sea Dweller, reference 1675 GMT Master, and reference 16800 Submariner, often presented to Oman's army and police forces, and more classic styles of dress watches such as Datejust and Oyster Perpetual, often in gold. Of course, they had showed the Daytona, so that's why they counted all the other examples. Some of these watches are in pristine condition, having been treasured by their owners in their presentation boxes, while others, having been exposed to Omani heat and humidity, have developed pleasing patina on the hands and indexes. Fascinating. Pavel, hey. Oh yeah, I will do a Forbin. Thank you. I don't mind sharing content, man. We're here for each other. I will do a retake and something much more polished, structured, and focused for my channel. I'm glad people are interested, and that gives me a good idea. But I'm happy to share it all here for the first time. This is, after all, the Pontiff's platform, and any super chats also are really appreciated. Rolexes as rewards for bravery, and at any rate, right, this is someone else's story, right? until I do my own research, so to speak, it's not really honest work to present it on my channel. Of particular interest to European and especially British collectors were the watches presented by the Sultan to the members of Britain's SAS who were involved in the 1970 coup, where British forces arranged for Qaboos to depose his father, Sultan Taimur, who had ruled Muscat and Oman, as it was then known, as a medieval backwater since 1932. I love this watch, by the way. Oh, look at that sub. No, it's a... Ooh, the bezel insert confused me, but yeah, this is a sea dweller. Amazing. I mean, I guess I would still take a good old double red sea dweller instead of this, but hey, not too shabby. According to Daniel Bourne's very informative article on vintage-db.com, the Rolex 1665 Armani Sea Dwellers with either the red Khanjar or the Qaboos dial script were commissioned by the Sultan via Asprey of London in the early 1970s and presented to the British military SAS troops who had served in Oman during the Dhofar rebellion between 1970 and 76. And Pavel says, cool topic, the Daytona is beautiful. Yeah, I think so is the Sea Dweller, to be honest. Bourne goes on to state that some 80-90 red Khanjar Sea Dwellers ordered by the Sultan via Asprey in London rather than directly from Rolex in Switzerland were presented to military staff. Oh, I think I burned my coffee in the meantime. God damn it. The hobby is killing us, guys. It bleeds too much into life. So there are less than 100. Imagine, you have the provenance that's demonstrable. You have good, high quality, desirable watches that are connected to some piece of history, that are gifted. So you have a genealogy of ownership. You have a special dial. You have them ordered through Asprey. In some instances, you have a full set, and you have less than 100, right? Hard to beat that sort of argument. And this is a gold one, right? Again, a Sea Dweller, 4-digit with Khanjar, this time in gold. And God knows what that means, right? Since they were all special ordered and most of them have the red, why does this one have the gold? I would love to know that. But even that intrigue, even that curiosity that it inspires is a testament, I think, to the kind of mystique that surrounds these kinds of watches. Interestingly, 4 gold Khanjar Sea Dwellers have also come to light, which on a purely statistical basis suggests that some 9 to 12 gold Khanjar watches were presented, gold considered more prestigious than the red Khanjar, I guess, since it's rare, and that this number might correspond to the 9 SAS members who took part in the Battle of Mirbat on July 19th, 1972, where 9 SAS members saw off an attack by 250 Dhofar rebels. The battle has been allegedly compared by some to the Battle of Rorke's Drift. Yeah, incredible story. And there is an Asprey engraving on the back as well. The combination of a demonstrably limited number of Rolex watches produced to order with special dials and presented to war heroes by an Arabic sultan is a heady mix, making for a perfect storm of collectability. So in 1969, the author says, to answer the question, would one want to own one? He was 7 years old and lived with his parents in a brand new house built in a small enclave built at Ras Al Hamra, a few miles west of Muscat, for the employees of Petroleum Development Oman, PDO, the consortium set up to exploit Oman's newly found oil reserves. These places are often described as a compound, but the lack of a perimeter fence or gatehouse and the proximity of beach made it feel more like a Spanish-style luxury golf resort, albeit devoid of grass, even on the golf course. Amazing. The exclusive development was totally off limits to Omanis and even to PDO's Indian employees who had their own camp. Exploitation of natural resources, segregation based on race and ethnicity. Hey, you have the perfect colonialist formula. Hard to find anything sympathetic about that. One day I was playing in the sand and gravel that served as a garden in front of our house. A herd of goats came cantering across our garden from the western side of the camp, hotly pursued by a little girl in a dirty red dress carrying a stick. She was probably only 6 or 7 years old and would have lived in one of the desperately poor villages we passed on the way to Muscat, consisting of huts whose walls and roofs made of date palm branches. When she saw me, she stopped in her tracks, stood looking at me for what seemed like an eternity. Her skin was darkly tanned, but her tousled hair was bleached blonde by the sun, and her eyes were large and alert, scrutinizing me at length. Both of us intruders in each other's world. Eventually, she set off in pursuit of her goats. During the 4 years we lived in Oman, this was the closest I've ever come to meeting an Omani child. First watch in Oman. I was watch aware from an early age, the author says. My father took me to buy my first watch in Dubai when I was 8 years old. Oman didn't have watches for sale in those days, and certainly not for children. It was a manual wind, steel-cased, boys' watch on a steel bracelet with a red second hand and a luminous Mercedes hour and minute hands that lit up like the Blackpool Tower at night. It fascinated me. In bed at night, I would admire the tumor-inducing glow of the hands and indexes before laying it on my pillow to listen to it ticking. All right, well, that's a nice story, but let's get back to the Khanjar watches. There's also a lot of history here that coincides with British colonialism and the emergence of Oman as a kind of protectorate and later as an independent country. Oman, of course, being right at that particular point that basically divides the Persian Gulf, right, and forms that Strait of Hormuz, has an incredible strategic importance. And, we have talked about practices of segregation and the exploitation of natural resources. And here it says, according to Guardian journalist Ian Cobain, until 1970, Oman was the last country on earth where slavery remained legal. The Sultan owned around 500 people. An estimated 150 of them were women, whom he kept at his palace at Salalah. A number of his male slaves were said to have been physically deformed by the cruelties they suffered. The fact that the new Sultan continued to order Rolexes and other watches via Asprey in London rather than directly from the manufacturer merely confirms the grip that Britain continued to exert over the country. The last part is bringing us back to the story of the Armani Rolexes. So let's go back to that. Even though I feel the controversy is bringing more listeners, but hey, where does this leave watch collectors and their highly sought after Armani Rolexes? These watches are generally presented by Rolex dealers and enthusiasts as romantic mementos of a bygone era, awarded to unsung military heroes for acts of bravery by the progressive sultan of one of the more liberal Arab countries. But of course, that's far from truth, as the details that we just shared attest. The official British line expressed in a 1970 defense white paper was that the Sultan of Muscat's armed forces, most of whose officers are British, have continued to be engaged in operations against the Dhofar rebels in the rugged hill country north of Salalah. The Sultan has made awards for bravery to some British officers for their conduct in those operations. Presumably, some of these awards included watches produced to order by Rolex via Asprey in London with the Armani Khanjar on the dial. Some of these watches do indeed constitute recognition of the bravery in combat of British soldiers and to a significant degree mercenaries that went unacknowledged for many years by the British government, as it was reluctant to be seen to decorate military staff who was supposedly there in a purely advisory role. The water is getting pretty murky here. As a former resident of Amman in the late 1960s and early 1970s, I'm the first to recognize that my family's safety was guaranteed during that period by the presence of the British military, both in the Muscat region and at Anatia and Fahud in the interior where the oil platforms stood. However, these watches also represent the less appealing aspect of the country's history, namely Britain's share of responsibility for the country's complete failure to develop economically and socially from the 19th century until the 1970s, and the consequent suffering of the indigenous population due to the lack of education, healthcare, poor nutrition, and military conflict. Sometimes desirable artifacts come with uncomfortable and even unpalatable cultural and historical truths. A summary check of the various watch dealing websites reveals that a nice red Qaboos Submariner with patinated, it should be, hands and indexes is currently available, but price on request. A popular euphemism for if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Perhaps one day I will have the means to acquire one, but if I do, the red signature will always remind me of the little girl in the ragged red dress. Yeah, it's interesting how the author took issue with the romanticism that surrounds the collecting of these watches, but then turned around and said that he would get one if he had the money, and injected it with his own romanticism. Fascinating. There's a little update from 2020, but I just want to go back to that gorgeous sea dweller with the red khanjar. I think there's something very appealing about that dial being so plain, and the fact that it's just decorated with 2 lines of Rolex, the coronet, and then the khanjar, right, the cross daggers. And same here. So let's see what the 2020 is, what the update is. The author says, I spoke recently to a UK-based Rolex and Patek Philippe collector going by the name of the Watch Baron, who bought one of the gold Khanjar Sea Dwellers about 7 years ago after hearing the story of the Mirbat 9. He has since sold the watch, but says that curiosity got the better of him, and that, armed with one of the several books that relate the Mirbat story, he managed to track down one of the former SAS members who are involved. When asked whether he had been awarded a gold Khanjar Rolex Sea Dweller for his involvement, the SAS man laughed incredulously and replied categorically that neither he nor his colleagues received any recompense of any sort for their role in that battle, let alone a Rolex. Of course, I'm sure some of you in the audience are familiar with the typical line from the intelligence agencies, right? We can neither confirm nor deny. Now, former SAS men, being what they are, and given the clandestine nature of British military involvement in Oman at the time, one might argue that he would say that, wouldn't he? My point exactly. But Watch Baron assures me that from the manner in which said SAS man responded, he's 99.9% sure that he was telling the truth. Try again. Unless somebody comes forward to confirm it, it is therefore perhaps time to put to bed that the Mirbat Rolex myth that has, through constant repetition, become accepted as gospel truth among collectors, even though it was only ever put forward as a mathematical hypothesis. Pardon me. Yeah, just to remind you guys, he's basically saying we have to take less seriously the particular story of these more rare sea dwellers that have the gold cross daggers on the dial. So he's not disputing altogether the relatively reliable fact that some members of the British military, officers and mercenaries who were deployed at the time in Oman to suppress the rebellion were in fact gifted these Rolex watches by the young Sultan at the time, who was in the process of suppressing an indigenous rebellion and deposing his own father. And this is the 62-63 Daytona. Guys, thank you. Thank you. I was hoping that someone else might jump in and take over, but I think I'm gonna sign off. I have to go and take care of some business before the Archie Luxury live stream. In the meantime, if you have time, feel free to check out my channel. and subscribe to help me in reaching 1,000 subscribers. Take care.